we're just going to move straight in to Echlinville, and it's all about Echlinville now. It literally is all about Echlinville, and no doubt we're going to have Jarlath on, and who knows where he's who knows where he is? Does anyone know where he is? Is he here? He's had plenty of time to do his makeup. That's all I'm saying.
Alive.
Hello.
How are you? You're still alive.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Do you know? It's been some week. I mean, we're halfway over. We're more than halfway done.
Oh, we're beyond halfway, aren't we?
There's still a lot of whiskey to be done yet, but I mean, what a week! What a week! You know, some of the stuff that's been done is unreal. Michael in Bowen, I've known Michael a long time from his Dingle days. Done tastings down there, Dunville. The guy is whiskey through and through. Passion hangs out of him. The enthusiasm hangs out of him. Nearly too honest for his own good sometimes. Do you know, he's definitely a whiskey person. Yeah, good to I haven't seen Michael for a while. Good to see him again. I've had some good nights down there in Dingle with those guys, you know, with Michael included, and yeah, it's good to see him doing so well in Bowen.
Whoa, we've got a special appearance from Graeme.
Graeme Miller. Graeme Miller's in the house.
Good evening.
Good man, Graeme. Good man. Here, at least Graeme's got a better setup. Graeme's just got a better setup. Can we hear you, Graeme?
I got the earbuds tonight. I always use the earbuds, so.
Good man.
Graeme's got a bigger budget than me, you know.
Listen, no, you know what? Big thanks to Phil, and yes, Michael did really well from Blind. That was absolutely excellent. That was good stuff. And I listened to the majority of that, which was really important. I got some dinner. I managed to get myself some lasagna and garlic dough balls, made it on myself. And yeah, you have to eat and drink. Where do we start? Is this all about This is all about the Belfast coffee.
This is a whole night on Belfast coffee. Not enough, just 9 Belfast coffees. Happy days.
Yeah,
I'd do that no problem at all. Actually, I'd be happy enough with that, as you know, Paul.
That's the first. That's what we're going to start with. We're going to start out the back.
It's now tradition that I kick off Belfast whiskey tasting for the Belfast coffee, so we're not going to change it. We're not going to change it now. We've been doing Bon Pot Gin for 5 years, 6 years now, Graeme. It could be 6 years. I don't know how long Dave's been with us.
It's well over 5, yeah.
I mean, it probably is 6 years. Dave came to us at the start. He'd been having it made somewhere else for a year. Wasn't happy with how the spirit developed in the bottle. And 5 years later, the guy has a bar in Dublin. He's winning Cocktail Bar of the Year, Cocktail of the Year, Cocktail Staff of the Year, cleaning the boards with the Cocktail Awards last year. Just, you know, a fantastic bar. I think when the history of Irish pot gin is rewritten, you know, for the new wave of pot gin, Dave Mulligan will be the first chapter. You know, because Dave was there probably even before Padraig and Mick, before anybody. Dave was, you know, he had this Tribune bar in London and he was banging that drum. And I always say, you know, Dave's passion, and Dave's a great salesman, and his passion, he knows so much about drinks and cocktails and all. I mean, if Dave brought out a gin 5 years ago, he'd be retired by now. You know, but he decided to bring out pot gin, and pot gin's a hard sell, you know. But we do think that with the Belfast coffee, you know, we have found one way of taking pot gin to the world. You know, I mean, it's just such a super accessible, super drink, you know. And it really shows off the best of our Bon Pot gin. And yeah, hopefully, you know, the plan, there is plans afoot, you know, to try and do something commercial with it, you know. But it's just something that we loved, you know, and very proud of our association with Dave. And that association with Dave through the pot gin, through the Bon Pot gin, then carries through to the 2 other cocktails that we have that Dave's developed for us, you know.
So we're going to start. We're going to start with that, and everyone in the pack should know what it looks like. First of all, it's nice and dark. I mean, it's definitely a cocktail. The last two bottles you have in your pack are cocktails. One's a penicillin, and the other. Actually, there's 3 cocktails in the pack. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I had everything there, but I didn't have my spoon.
Right.
And I can't pour the cream without the spoon.
What do people need? What do people need for the Belfast coffee? What do they need in front of them?
So what we need is a sort of 50, 60 ml glass. A mini Glencairn if you have it, if not one of the plastic, or just whatever glass you have. The Belfast coffee goes in first. Leave about a finger width at the top. You're going to add your cream then in the way you make an Irish coffee. So put your spoon, pour your cream slowly over it. Now you want your cream sort of half whipped, like a half whipped consistency, about twice the thickness of the double cream, of how the double cream comes when you buy it. So sort of half whip the double cream. Pour the double cream on your Belfast coffee and then grate some nutmeg on top. And pretty much the more nutmeg, the better. I always find. So like my Belfast coffee glass. Graeme doesn't have this, but I actually have the whole bottle here. My apologies, Graeme.
Thanks, Jarlath.
I'm going to have it.
I've made something similar.
I'm going to have mine and Graeme's if that's okay.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm the same. We were talking about coffee the other day, and I like the smell of coffee, and I like coffee cake, and I like coffee creams, but I just don't like coffee. And I tend to find that's my downfall, isn't it?
You just haven't tried the Belfast coffee, Paul. So I've poured the glass. I've left a bit of finger width at the top for the cream.
Right.
And then in the standard way, just pour your cream over this will be the first time I do this wrong. And I'm doing it on...
It's just out of shot, Jarlath, so you're okay.
I know, but I can't hold it in midair onto it, so I'll just show you I'll show you the one I prepared it earlier. The blue
one you made earlier, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, cutting to the chase, that's the cream. Wee bit of pre-ground nutmeg, prepared it earlier, and normally you'd grate it just over, and yeah, you have the perfect Belfast coffee.
So is it you know, how much nutmeg do you need to get on there?
You know, I would put more on than Dave puts on the bar. That nutmeg cream and coffee just does it for me.
You love that, don't you? Nutmeg.
There's been discussions in the whistle about nutmeg, but you don't want a thin covering, a sort of thin covering, you know, maybe about an eighth of a nutmeg, maybe a tenth of a nutmeg, not very much, just you'll not be able to see that nutmeg because the way if I turn it over, it will obviously just ruin my laptop. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you're not too sure, go light. But you'll get the idea. After one or two or three, you'll have it perfected, don't worry.
Excellent.
All right, guys, so yeah, we just thought we'd start off on this.
Sure, lead the way, Jarlath. Lead the way. Go ahead.
My sister Anne-Marie's asked me to hold it up to the camera, so I better do it. Yeah, so I just find this just the most lovely way to start a whiskey tasting. You know, I mean, coffee seems to clean your palate in a way. You know, leave your palate ready for whiskies. And I just think it's just a drink that just always makes me happy. You know, it's a drink that just always makes me ready for a. I have this every time before the Belfast Whisky Club weekly tastings, and you know, it's just a drink that it just gets you in the mood for more drink. You know, that's what it does.
It's a partial palate cleanser as well.
It is a palate cleanser, but it's more than that. It just makes you happy. You know, it's one of those drinks that just makes me happy. You know,
listen, I'm not going to deny your happiness. I'm not going to deny your happiness.
Yeah, isn't that great? You know.
Listen, you've really spoiled. I know you've really spoiled participants tonight. You've really spoiled the festival goers. When you put together this pack, and I suggested, you know, you could use a big box and you could split it up and maybe do 2 tastings. You know, you were like, oh yeah, maybe that's a good idea, and then you were like, nah, I'll just, whatever you're saying, Paul, 2 fingers up to whatever Paul's saying. What we'll do is we'll do our own thing, and we'll just go a wee bit crazy. And it has become crazy. I mean, I spent 3 weeks down in Echlinville. I felt I was part of the team. I felt I actually worked for Echlinville for a moment. I was literally in there. I was getting offered dinner at some points. It was just great crack being down there. But the stress that you were under to put your product into this box was immense. I'm sitting trying to work out a festival and how it operates. All you had to do is make one box. I had to make sure we had all the boxes done, all the distilleries done. You had one box to do, and the stress, the grey hairs that kept on approaching every.
But I had to entertain you guys for 3 weeks.
It was just unreal. But you know what? It's a perfection, and Jarlath has brought to us probably. Do you know what? I'm outstanding, genuinely outstanding by what you put into the box and what you felt was necessary to show off the Dunville's range specifically.
It was.
I really do.
Graeme made me do it.
Before we drink it, but before we drink it, that should be said from the very outset that really you spent a lot of time deliberating what goes in here.
I rack my head before every tasting and before every release, and Graeme will tell you I rack my head. Graeme's all like, oh, it's fine, it's great, it's brilliant, it's super, it's ready, and I'm like, and the closer we get, the more I sort of second guess everything, and Graeme's the sort of, don't worry about it, it's all going to be fine, and I think that's why it works, and I think that's why it works, because, you sort of have that difference in personalities with Graeme and myself, but at the end of the day, we both have, I think we both have the same bar, set as to what our releases should be, and I know that when we're tasting the craft, Graeme and myself don't always agree, but whenever we get to the end, we do agree. And nothing goes out until Graeme and myself both agree that it's not just ready to go out, but it is ready to be, as good as it possibly can be into, and that we think, we're still at that stage with Dunville that every release has to be better than the last one, and every release has to blow your socks off, and we're trying to establish Dunville up on that end of the market, and we're not established enough to suffer 1 or 2 bad releases. So
it gets harder after every release, though.
I think the pressure mounts more after every release. Certainly for me, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I was joking to the rest of the team for the last couple of days. I've been saying, when Jarlath comes on, when he comes on to do the Echlinville presentation, when he comes on and talks about Echlinville, and he talks about Dunville, I just have to slate him. I just have to say that the box is awful. There's nothing good in it. Don't drink it. Turn off now. Go to sleep. Return your boxes if you don't like them. Just return them. And and I kept on saying that. And you know what? It's this type of relationship that you have with the industry, Jarlath. It's not me, by the way. It's not the relationship that we have. It's the relationship that you have with the industry and people, and people. The festival goers here. They love you. I had a comment earlier on, and someone, it was Richard from one of the tastings earlier on, said, "Listen, do you know what, Paul? My wife has fallen in love with you." And I went, "That's really impossible." And then someone else came in and said, "Do you know what? My wife actually loves Jarlath." And I was like, "Okay then." And do you know what? It's because actually that personality that you have, you generally that just continues to grow and grow. I've never seen you, and I know you've been in bad mood. I've not seen you in a bad mood, because actually you're still joyous, you're still happy. And listen, crisis has been averted. We know that. Crisis has been averted. However, the stress that comes from you was hidden by that beautiful smiley, "This is me, this is what it's about." You know what I mean? So listen,
there was a bit of stress for the last 2 weeks.
Of course, but here, crisis averted, and we're now on a path where, listen, quite frankly, whatever you put in this box today, wouldn't upset anyone, because actually, so far, and Graeme makes the point, so far you have produced for Dunville's, for the brand of Dunville's, to keep that Dunville's brand alive, to give it life. You've produced some really good, product, and you've been very upfront that it's not Echlinville product. That this is something that you're working with, you're playing around with, you are experimenting with, because actually in the background we know that Echlinville product is making a slowly sleepy wake-up call. You know what I mean? It's taking time to open its eyes, and it's just taking a bit of time, and that's all it is. And the passion that you all have down there, and Shane, the passion that man has. I know he's not in here tonight, but I hope he hears this. But the passion he has is unreal. Like you never could meet someone who cares so much about what he is going to achieve. It's not like what he's achieving right now. What he's going to achieve is something special, and he must lay awake at some nights going, I need to do this, and he must have those thoughts running through his head. Do I?
He lies awake. He lies awake most nights, just thinking up more really wacky ideas.
That's what I mean.
Graeme and myself try and talk him out of in the morning.
Great, wicked. You know, his ideas are great, and I've heard, literally been down there for 3 weeks. I've heard so many, and you know, you're really just you're really, just excited to know where he's going and his plans and what he's all about. But
I think it has to be said, you know, that I know that I do a lot of the tastings, and people would know me from Dunville probably more than Graeme or Shane. But Shane facilitates everything. You know, Graeme's a mad scientist. I'm just perfectionist, you know, and Shane is just like, you know, he's just like, you know, he just doesn't say no to anything. You know, he's just open to everything, and he's as mad and wacky and eccentric, you know, as the best of us. And having that open, you know, just to be able to do whatever you want and to be able to say no, I'm not putting this out until it's perfect, and to hold back and to hold back, and you know, and you know, financials don't come into it. You know, at this point, you know, it is just about, at this point, just making the very, very best that we can possibly do, and we're not constrained by a lot of the stuff that other industry guys are constrained by, and that's all to do with Shane, you know, but not constraining us in that way, and allowing us that sort of, you know, space to operate in, and then with Graeme just producing the spirit and that we're producing down there, you know. So I mean, it's a good team, you know.
Let's be honest, Graeme, you've got a handle on what's going on. You know what's going on. You are that captain of the ship, knowing where to avoid the icebergs when it comes to this liquid. You know what's going on. Sometimes, you know, Jarlath will be like, "Aye, sure, we'll go and taste that. We'll go and taste that wee liquid. Don't worry about it." It's 4 stories high. And we don't have a forklift. How are we going to get that down there, you madman?
It was down yesterday. We put it away yesterday evening. Yeah. And again, there's a team. You know, there's a team behind me as well. There's a lot of, you know, we haven't really talked about this tonight. I don't think we do anything the easy way when it comes, whether it's racking casks or growing barley or malting barley or even...
I'm sure malting barley's easy.
all you need is a shovel. So there's a great team.
1,000 hours a week.
Yeah. I mean, there's a great team behind us. I work with us guys as well, who honestly, I mean, it's crazy what they do. You know, like today, for example, we were bottling something single cask, and they just stayed on until it was done, and they stayed on because they wanted to make sure it was done right. But throughout the whole afternoon, they're nosing it and they're looking at it, you know, and the appreciation of what we're doing there, it goes right throughout for everybody.
I've never seen so many smiley, happy faces at 6 o'clock in the morning. Pouring liquid for the festival. You know, you had a team that that came in and helped get this festival to where it is. So there's without a doubt, this is, and I can appraise this for as long as I want to appraise this before we taste any whiskey, is that the Echlinville has to be the staff there. So my new mother, Susan, who seemed to do absolutely everything without moving.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Peter, who genuinely, I must have busted his, constantly, and he was just the smile on the guy's face was like, no problem. No problem.
Yeah.
There's one post over your face on them up.
There are levels of support, and there's levels of support. You guys went above and beyond to ensure that this festival happened. That has to be clear. That this festival would not exist without specifically the support, the work rate of all the staff that helped from Echlinville. That just would not have happened. So I'm in debt. And I hope everyone who is involved in the festival starts to realise that people are passionate about the festival, who wanted it to happen. That came from Echlinville. Some people might say it was me. It was never me. There was everyone else behind the scenes specifically, and I haven't really talked because I didn't want to talk and just flamboyantly just talk about Echlinville without Echlinville being on the screen. But you guys are here. People who are here want to taste your product. People who are here should realise the levels in which you put in for it to be what it is. The fact that we got, so 975 boxes have gone out. That people literally bled. People were getting like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? We literally worked hard. People with blisters. See crimping. Don't do crimping.
Oh, crimping, yeah. Crimping's a nightmare.
Crimping's a sin. Crimping is now, it's in the Bible. Do not crimp. And look, at the end of the day, it was so much fun. It was fun. It was frantic. It got intense at certain points. But your staff were patient. Not just about patient, but they were excited. You had some young staff in there. You had a mix of people who were passionate about the whiskey. We were talking about when they were pouring the 30-year-old powers, they were like, oh, what is this? And when you're pouring the 1950s Napoleon Castle, oh my God, am I allowed to hold it? And those kind of conversations, asking questions constantly about different liquids, about different types of. So the staff you have there, they're not just workers. They're not just doing things. They're a part and parcel of your distillery, part and parcel of your entire vision. Of what's going down there in Echlinville. And I really, honestly, am very, very, very thankful and genuinely grateful for what went on there in those couple of weeks. I genuinely do mean that.
Yeah, I said that to you, Paul, that the day after, or that day, that I was genuinely just delighted to see the level of interaction with all the young guys, who have a limited experience with whiskey, but over those 2 or 3 days, they really, you could see them starting to learn more and to interact more and to get that level of interest, was upped. And yourself that once you get that level of interest up, it's they're on the road, and they're going to get there, And I just loved, maybe some of the ones that weren't as interested in whiskey before, I just seen that enlightenment in their eyes and just seeing them really enjoy talking and smelling and the product, and like whenever Tony left with 10 mils of the Dreamcast 28-year-old was part of it, I think he actually floated out of the building, but it was just, and that's, that's brilliant. Yeah, it was. I love seeing that.
Yeah, I'm just reading Jamie's comment. I mean, fair enough, Graeme. I gave Graeme a bottle of McKibben's, which could have fallen apart in his hands, and it was that delicate the way in which it was left, and the pressure he was under. Yes, the pressure he was under.
Listen, cracked from bottom to top. I think that's
and you did so well, genuinely. And do you know what? I got tasted today, and I was just I spent the last couple of hours, catching up on presenters, making sure that people were okay and they'd had a good day. And part of the festival isn't just me coming on and interacting like this. It's me also going back and speaking to everyone who's been on and saying, what did you make of that? How did you feel with the crowd? What did you get from it? And when I was speaking to Finn on there, we were just discussing the products and the bottles and stuff, and we talked about the McKibben, and he was like, yeah, he says, I don't know if he's half inebriated, but he's like, it really still could be Connswater. It could be Connswater. And then he was like, then we had a discussion about the White's 22, And I said, remember you told me, Finnan, you thought it was from Dublin. He went, I know. No, I don't. He says, now I actually think, after tasting it, he says, the chances are that it's from the north, and it could actually be from Cumber. So we might have just taken, which was my first take. When I told him what the Twice 22 was, I said it was Cumber, and he said he wasn't sure. He thought it was from the south. So we've had that discussion post, and potentially, whoever drunk the 22 today, potentially you were drinking Cumber. So that's a potential there. And I just think that, it was great, and it was great to see. It was just great to see you guys knowing that liquid was coming in. The staff just going, "What is this?" And lots of conversations about it. There was real passion there. But no, I really want to just crack on with your liquid. I want to look at number one. I take it you're taking an order. You're just going to go down the list. So number one is the PX12.
Yeah, I think we're going to hit the PXs. So we'll hit the PX12 and then the craft strengths. And then I might flip back to the penicillin and then maybe cleanse the peat back out of the palate with the aviation. And then from there, we'll hit the 4 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds single craft releases. And that'll be a nice big finish with those 4 in a row, So I think, we'll do the PX12 craft strengths, penicillin, aviation, and then hit the big boys.
Super.
Not that the PX12 craft strength isn't a big boy, but yeah.
How would you rate the coffee is the question at the moment. I'm going to do that later since I don't drink it. But I think, I'll be honest, Jarlath's a wee bit cheeky, right? So Jarlath, he's funny, he's loving, but he's also cheeky. So he's in our group chat for the club, and he's like, everyone's a 10, lads. Everyone is a 10. Everything is not unicorn PP over rainbows. That's not what it is. It's up to you if you want to get
Belfast coffee's a 10 every day of the week. Every day of the week it's a 10. I didn't give it a 10, by the way. I wouldn't do that. But if anybody wants to comment on how to find the Belfast coffee, if anybody actually got to make one, sure, feel free to pop a comment up.
What we could do, anyone who made a Belfast coffee can send me pictures. So they can send it into Instagram, they can send it into Facebook, and we'll pop them up here. We'll put the pictures up here of people's coffees. We'll do that. We can throw them into the chat here. So if anyone sends me pictures of their coffees, I'll put them in.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll actually send out a bottle of Belfast coffee to the best effort.
Oh, it's a prize now.
There's now a prize for this one.
It's not a prize. Didn't know we were doing
so
that.
there's a bottle of Belfast coffee for the winner. So get the pictures up. Now, who's the judge?
Michael O'Donnell, are you serious you don't have a number 6?
Magic trick.
Yeah, there's no number 6 in the box. Don't fool people. There's no number 6.
Number 6 is number 7.
He's fucking palpitation.
Had us both worried there, Paul. Had us both worried.
What do you mean your box hasn't arrived? Well, your event's not until tomorrow. Relax. That's all I'm telling people. If it's not there, it's actually with a courier, just to let you know. But fine.
You'll have to send them in discreet packaging.
You could have got a prize, Wayne. You could have won something. Same with you, Richard Jones. Belfast. Now, can I just say, Jamie, out of all of the boxes, this is a damn shame. There was a box of Dunvilles, and it was down in Dundalk, and I thought everyone in the north had got their boxes. I'd gone down just to make sure everything in Dundalk was heading off to sunnier climes, and everything was done and dusted. There was definitely a box of Dunville sitting, and I thought everyone had got it. I assumed Jamie just lives round the corner from where we were doing deliveries from, so I assumed he'd got his. And so this box of Dunvilles was sitting lonely in Dundalk, and Anthony turned around to me. So Anthony from Irish Whiskey Auction said, "Oh, you know what? I didn't get the Dunvilles," and I went, "Relax. By pure chance, there's a box of Dunvilles here."
Oh God!
And Anthony's like, "Are you serious? I can't believe there's a box of Dunvilles." I said, "Look, it's not on any list. I've got no lists here. There's no names with Dunville next to it. It really, just go ahead." Comes back up the road. Jamie's like, "Yeah, you seen my Dunvilles? Have you seen my box of Dunvilles?" Yeah, box of Dunvilles, my friend, is no longer in existence. So it's okay. I sort Jamie out with something else. Maybe not. Maybe a bottle
Jamie, I get you some samples.
No, don't be sending Jimmy samples.
Jamie, I'm not keeping the samples, sorry, mate.
You're not giving anything. But yeah, so it's a bit of banter, and people, the whole delivery and getting stuff out there. It's been a hard job. We're still at it. I was delivering stuff yesterday. I'm actually going to delivering tomorrow. I've got a wee run to the south to deliver something for tomorrow. But we're in the main, everyone's out there and it's done and it's great and it's been hard work.
I said this before, but
PX12 bottle number 1, PX12. Jarlath or Graeme. In fact, Graeme, lead the way on this. Graeme, lead the way.
Thank you, Paul. Well, I don't know if anyone that's on tonight hasn't tasted this before. I guess the key point that I want to make about this is that we put the same amount of effort into this as we do any of the single casks. The only difference really between this and the single cask is that this is bottled from the casks that best express the standard as we see it for PX, and that works best at 46% ABV, which is the standard strength that we've put it out at for the last 5 years. So it's a single malt, goes in to sherry hogsheads. We usually keep it in there for about a year, but quite a lot of the stuff actually now has been in for longer, and we bring it out when it's 12 years old. This one probably could be 13, but we don't want to print lots of labels with lots of different numbers on. So it's a good 12, a good strong 12. So the classic for me now. I suppose this is the whiskey that I would drink if I'm spending Friday evening at home and I'm relaxing. This is the one that I'd always would be first in my mind, and it's got that lovely sort of sweet tone on the nose. The soft fruits are there. It's a real, for me, like an old friend now. I remember the first time we tasted this actually in 2015. We only had two or three casks. And I didn't even work for Echlinville at that stage full time. I used to go down on Saturdays to help out and sort of clean tanks and things, whether they were stainless steel or some other type. And we took a wee taste out of one of the casks that we'd been in for, I think, maybe 4 or 5 months. And I looked at Shane and I'm like, that's really good. That's really, really good. And he didn't tell me, but he sent 3 bottles off to the World Whisky Awards the next day, I think, and then that was the first sort of success, as we saw it on the big stage. So we've tried to maintain that standard, that flavour profile that's been there since day one. If anything, I think we've managed to refine it very subtly. It's maybe a little bit more rustic now than it was back in 2015. I think with practice, we're getting better at being able to replicate the flavour profile each time as well. So just a wee classic for me. I love this, and I see Jarlath has a bigger bottle than I have.
I tell you what it is, Graeme. You said it's quite familiar. It's becoming a mainstay, I think, in a lot of people's cabinets, because it's actually, the price point was just right. You know what I mean, for what it was, and the taste was, has been exceptional. So it has become a familiar. Even yes, I know you're saying you're working with the spirit daily, but I think for a lot of people, this is a go-to drink. This now probably sits, if people are going to be honest, if people care about single malt expressions coming from Ireland, then this sits easily. Above some of the other single malt aged expressions that we have. Not only that, but it probably sits very well next to some of the regular pot stills that would be in people's cabinets, you know, as something of a go-to drink, you know.
Yeah, I know for me, to jump in, you know, we had, like my moment with PX12 was in Dingle. You know, we had done PX10 for 3 years and won 3 World Whisky Awards with it for best Irish under 12, whatever. And then we won the Irish Whisky Award for it as well. And then we brought out PX12, and you know, awards are great when you win them. You know, they are, and when you don't, you know. But went to Dingle, and having won the best malt under 12 with the 10-year-old, I really wanted it for the 12, and picked up the Irish Whisky Award for the best malt under 12 for the PX12. After landing it for the PX10 was just my best moment with this whiskey, you know. But you always want to follow up the success with the 12 you have with the 10, you know, and it's just that. And the Irish Whisky Awards do mean something, maybe more than the World Whisky Awards mean, you know, in truth. Yeah. They are your peers, and they are the guys that know Irish whiskey inside out, you know. So we were delighted with that one, you know. I guess, you know, it is from the PX10, it's less malt and more PX and more sherry influence, more wood influence, you know. It's definitely up the sherry. It's up the sherry bomb scale, you know, from where the PX10 was, you know. But yeah, I think it's a lovely, and I think sometimes it gets underlooked compared to the recent PX12 craft strength releases, you know. But I think it holds its own against any 12-year-old in truth.
I think you're just right. No, I think you're on the right track there. I would say that just by pure chance that my festival bottling's far better, but you know, we won't go there. I think that's a 12-year-old.
Can anybody put Paul on mute, please?
I'm here for the crowd.
Oh. Yeah, you know no, it's a tasty drama, right? That yeah.
I'm only playing. Look, listen, we know how this works. You know, at the end of the day, people can write in their comments. I noticed that Jamie and Jamie's having a wee bit of banter there with Anthony, because Anthony's on, and you know I've called it out. Is what it is. But listen, come in and have a bit of banter. I'm also going to be calling people out, because I know who've got the packs for this tasting. I want to know what people's thoughts are on some of these drams going forward. But you know, it's really, you know, it's handy to have some interaction. The three of us can chat all night, and we will chat all night because we've got stuff to talk about. But it's good also to get the interaction. I'm very impressed with for the whole week. People's interaction has been great. Questions have been strong, and they've been strong to the presenters, strong to the distillers. But look, people that say I like the 12, but love the 12. I think he means that he likes the 10, but loves the 12, which is probable. Yeah, there you go, Robert. 100%, Robert Falvey.
Question from Michael O'Donnell there, but he said that he loved the 10, loves the 12. 10 was exceptional. Wants to know, is there any chance that there might be a 10 again? There's a good chance there could be a 10 again.
Well, the question is, do you have to? I mean, the question is, do you have to? You go by demand now, don't you? You go by like if there's a demand for something. The 10's Robert's favourite. People are loving the 10. The 10 is
the 10 fans.
Well, you're going to know, Graeme. The whole point of this conversation is you're going to know, because people are going to tell you. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think Graeme's experienced at Belfast Whisky Club tasting or scores before, have you, Graeme?
I've heard the commentary afterwards.
They're a mean bunch. We are a mean bunch.
Yeah, so there's Peter Morris has chucked in. Look, Paul, research shows that the numbers 8 and 12 are key numbers in relating to age within whiskey. You know, I don't know. I mean, I like. Thank you very much, Peter. I really like your 12. Do I like it more than the 10? Yes. So, I mean, it will be each for their own. It'll be each for their own. But cask strength 10, that's the question. Hello. Yeah. Hello, cask strength 10.
No plans for that one yet.
Don't give them more headaches. Don't give them more headaches. They don't need that. You could do an 11, keep everyone sweet. Yes, okay, that's good. See, I knew you guys all had banter. I knew it was coming. I knew there was stuff there. Yeah, I'm just wondering, hold on. Paddy Duffy. Is Paddy Duffy on tonight? Just put a wee wavy hand if you're about. I just want to know if we've got some people on here. I take it Brendan Carty came back in the room. Is he actually laid out with a fish and chip round his face?
Brendan might be going for a nap by now. He had a rough day.
You know, he was. Yes, Paddy Duffy's there. Good, excellent, super stuff. That's good to know. Paddy, did you make a Belfast coffee by pure chance? Did you? I want to know that. Anyway, Kyle Burnside. Burnside on. No, you don't know if I am camera. You're not on camera, Paddy. Don't worry about that. I don't want to see your face. I just want to see your comments. I mean, he's a good man. Okay, listen, we can put the poll up. The admins can put the poll up. We can have a little vote. We can see what people think of it. I know what I think of it. If it was awful, I'd be pressing number 2 right now. Sorry. Apologies. Apologies for that. Yeah. Look, it's good. I noticed while the poll was up that Jarlath just isn't corporate today. You know, I mean, I've got my T-shirt on. Have you got yours on? You've got yours on. And sorry, what was that? You're 60 years old, Jarlath.
Do you know? I am. Yeah, I'm not tonight. I thought that was enough. And
I'm not saying. Hold on. Not saying it's not enough. What I'm saying is, we're on point.
Well, no. Do you know that this is my tribute T-shirt? I'm wearing a tribute T-shirt to Ennio Morricone tonight.
Okay.
Passed away about 3 weeks ago, and just thought it was, absolute hero of mine. So
there you go.
My wife and I, Joe, had the ultimate privilege of actually seeing him live 3 times, once in Belfast and twice in Dublin, and I just thought tonight was as good a way as any to mark that. So I'm proudly wearing my Ennio Morricone T-shirt from the last time in Dublin.
Well, there you go.
But I'm still on brand. Look behind me. That's bigger than a bigger poster than Graeme's.
No, but who's the biggest poster? Jarlath,
wait till next year.
Bigger camera than it. Why don't I go camera in it?
I'm going to get Banksy in, do this kitchen wall.
No offence, right? No offence. There's a couple of things. Let's be honest about banners. When you ever go to like a Dublin Live, or you go to like a Whiskey Social, or you go to something where Dunville's turns up, how big is your banner? I mean, it's not the biggest banner on the planet. It's just like this big, massive banner. It goes on and on and on and on, and you take up the entire pavilion. But
we spent our entire budget for 3 years in that, Paul.
we were meant to be, and again, harken back to what the physical festival should have looked like. We were meant to be in the HMS Carline as the last event in the week, and we were meant to be in there, and it was meant to be a showcase event where we had round tables and people could walk around and listen to some great music and have some canapes. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. We're not there, and we're not going to be there on the last night. But I was having a nightmare in my head anyway, because I was like, their banner doesn't fit in here. We're going to have to bring little pop-up banners.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Paul, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about that probably sums up Shane really well. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we done Whiskey Live for the first time. We had one bottle of whiskey. It was PX10, and we took the same space we have now. We took this big 3-sided space, nearly as big as Middleton, as bigger than Bushmills, as big as Tynning, in one of the most predominant areas in the hall, and we rocked up with one bottle of whiskey. And the next year we had 2. And I said, Shane, you're taking like 3 spaces. What are you thinking? And he goes, if we don't take them now, we'll not get them in 5 years' time. And in 3 to 5 years' time, we will need these 3 spaces. We will need this. That was his vision. Even back then, when we worked up with one bottle of whiskey, we took up 3 spaces. Whereas if we didn't take them in 5 years, we wouldn't have them now. And he knew 5 years. I was like, you're mad in the head, with this one we bottle of PX10 that we had with us, But in fairness, he was right, And we have that space and that big banner to fill it now, because 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Shane said, we're small now, but we have big, we have big plans and big ambitions. And that's how that big banner came about.
I'm just going to pick up on Giovanni Valenti has chirped in, couldn't get the box, but obviously still here, and joining you guys with X12, absolute perfection. Giovanni
has tried most of these we were in court on the 28th of February, 27th of February, where we had a now legendary wee after tasting. We were, do you know what, you're going down into the heart of Middleton, down in the heart of Middleton territory, the Cork Whisky Society, Eric Ryan and all, and you're thinking like, you can't even buy Dunville in court, they're not going to know it, and I'm walking in, I'm a sheep, I'm a lamb to the slaughter, I'm walking in on my own, I need some serious ammo here. So I took my sort of 8 9 bottle tastings, started off with a Belfast coffee, 8 or 9 bottle tastings, and I had these 3 in reserve, just in case I wasn't, and I thought to myself, I went well, but it was an 8 out of 10, but I knew that I hadn't won over completely. So I says, look lads, come across here, there's 2 or 3 more here that I didn't put in the tasting because they weren't ready yet. So with 12 or 15 of them, we all walked over to the corner and we poured out it was the first time we poured out the 19-year-old Oloroso, the Oloroso PX 19-year-old, and the 1211 Palo Hurtado. And we all sat in the corner of the bar for about an hour, all huddled in this wee space, about 15 of us passing the bottles about. And it was just one of those legendary hours of whiskey tasting. I was talking to Omer about it tonight, and I'm pretty sure Giovanni features in half a dozen of those photos. So yeah, Giovanni's all right. He's had most of these, and we'll have them again.
I'm just glad he's here for the banter. He's obviously here for the crack now. You know what I mean? And reminiscing. So he must be. And there's Robert, obviously perching in as well and saying that about Omar's bottle also. Second on the list tonight.
Speaking of Omar.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The second on the list tonight is the Dunville.
So the second whiskey tonight is it's another new edition of PX12 craft strength, and we have two editions that we're playing about with 2 casks that we're playing about with and weren't too sure which one to put out. We have now decided. We've now decided to run with. I think we're going to run with the one that we tasted on Sunday, although we'll maybe change our mind tomorrow morning.
I thought the one that we tasted on Sunday.
Well, funny, me and Graeme had this conversation. We had a conversation about a month ago, and we decided to put this one out first because the one that we tasted on Sunday is a really big hitter. It's a bigger hitter than the original PX12 craft strength. It's just big, juicy, chili. The first release on steroids, and the juiciness just flows out of it, and it's stunning. You tried it, Paul, on Sunday, and you put me up right after the Johns Lane craft strength, and I thought, Jesus Christ, Paul, what are you doing to me? And actually, the conversation for 5 minutes was, is this as good as the Johns Lane craft strength? And so I was delighted with that conversation to be even mentioned in the same breath, because that Johns Lane craft strength is phenomenal. But Graeme and myself had decided to put this one out first, and then we tasted it again on Monday, and we're sort of hemmed and hawed about it. Is this one ready? Because whereas the one on Sunday is big, juicy, fruity, really full-bodied, really just a kick to the side of the head of a whiskey. This one's a lot more constructed. It's a bit more subtle. There's different flavours in there. It has those PX12 craft strength flavours, but it's not that big, juicy spice bomb that the one we tasted on Sunday is. And the more me and Graeme talk, and we're music enthusiasts, and we're on to this, is this a classic second album? Do you know, I mean, if we put out this one rather than, the 1236 that we tasted on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see people's opinion on this one compared to the original, and if anybody tasted the one on Sunday compared to that too, because Graeme and myself have talked this over and over until we're, until we can't talk about it anymore, really. I think they're both stunning whiskeys. They're both ready to go out. Graeme myself loves them both. But there is a difference in the structure of them, difference in the juiciness, and maybe the sheer impact of them. So it'll be interesting to get people's thoughts in comparison. Anyway, this is PX12 cask strength. Yeah, Graeme, where you go?
Yeah. I just wanted to add that a message that we really want to get across is the variation that can occur from cask to cask. So all this liquid, when it arrived with us, was one standard batch. And I don't know how much of it there was. There could have been, 5,000 or 6,000 litres. And over the course of the last year or so, we've had it in various casks. We've had it in different parts of the warehouse because it gets a bit hotter near the top of the warehouse. And it's cooler near the bottom, and we have to decide which ones are going to go near the roof and all the rest of it. And even though the casks that we bring in are all amazing casks, and we nose them all, and we try and have a standard across the board whenever we're doing each batch of casking, we still get these differences. So out of 10 or 20 casks, 2 of them can be stand out different. 16 of them can be exactly what you were looking for, and then you might get one absolute superstar. We think, just because of the difference of the sherry bomb of the one that was tasted on Sunday, I don't know. I've never tasted anything like it from our warehouse. Whereas this one is like a wee bit like the classic second album, where the construction of it, the complexity of it is much more understated. The sweetness on the nose that I'm getting tonight is nearly like brown sugar sweetness rather than a sherry sweetness. And it's so different from the other cask that sat beside it in the warehouse for all those months. So, it's something we really want to try and get across, and I guess it's risky in that people may have expectations of PX cask strength. The next four that come out over the next few years, maybe some people might be disappointed, but the story and the point that we want to make is that, look, we're releasing this one because we think the integration and the understated nature of it is really worth you having the experience of, So anyway, we're not actually releasing this one until maybe a wee bit in the future. It'll be soon, but the Superstar Super Sherry Bomb is going to be released hopefully in the next few days. So anyway, we should talk about this one.
No, but it's so good. This one is so good.
Yeah, it's so integrated, isn't it? But I haven't tasted it yet, but the nose for me is, even when you compare to the 12-year PX at 46%, I'm not getting a sherry forward kind of nose. To me, it's a much more of a Demerara sugar. I think Robert has just said there, like a brown sugar, a Muscovado sugar. It's nearly like it's just starting along the scale of a rum finish, So it's crazy how that's happened. I don't know how that happened.
I see Tim there saying this is so juicy. Will this go on sale? Yes, it will go on sale later in the year. We're going to put out the other cask. I think it will go on sale on Saturday morning on our website, with maybe a lot of dozen bottles going into the usual retailers a week after. So there'll be a bottle going live at 10 a.m. 9 or 10 a.m. Saturday morning to mark the sort of end of Belfast Whisky Week. Dunville, we consider the spirit of Belfast, and we wanted to do something in conjunction, timing-wise, with Belfast Whisky Week. So we're going to launch this. We're going to launch. If you think this one's juicy, Tim, wait till you taste the Wonders Mountain Saturday morning, because it will blow your socks off. It is. As far as juiciness goes and chewiness goes, it's this 1 times 10. They're both serious whiskies, but the one on Saturday is a serious whiskey.
I think Martin,
in every sense of the word.
Yeah, Martin has made a comment there. Martin McShane has made a comment, and do you think the other one is better than this? Yeah, I think
it's different.
It's different. It's different in its construction. Try and use a music analogy. Whether you prefer.
I think we both think more, Graeme, this is more of a tighter constructed whiskey.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe it's better constructed in that it's more balanced, but it doesn't have that big spicy juicy hit that the 1326 has, which is the one that's going out on Saturday.
Yeah.
But we love that. But like Graeme says, we want to show the difference. I mean, we're only selecting the very best casks for the cask strength, and we're only selecting casks that work at cask strength. But there's some casks work at 48 or 52 or 46. And some casks that taste great at cask strength don't work. At a lesser IBP, so we're only selecting 2 or 3 casks a year that really work at cask strength and putting them out. And like Graeme says, they will tell a different story, but if we want to show a bit of variance in them, we just changed our minds and thought the one we're putting out Saturday might be, it is going to, I think it will blow people's socks off again, But yeah, if we didn't like this one a lot, it wouldn't be in tonight's tasting, but we were interested in the feedback.
Tasting it, actually, it's the first time I've tasted it when I haven't had the other casks beside it. And as you know, it's quite a subjective thing when you're tasting, and this stands up for me so well, so strong, well constructed, and really well integrated. So I'm actually probably a good thing that the other cask that we talked about on Sunday isn't on my bench tonight.
Just by chance, Graeme.
There's one.
I have it here.
Label.
Yeah.
Right, Jarlath. Nobody else has a sample of that.
I know. The nose is actually not as pronounced, but I think the nose is not as pronounced. The palate and the finish will be more pronounced. Yeah. I think they're both. I mean, it's like yeah. I think they're both our, they're both our favourites, Graeme. That's why we picked them.
I tell you what, I'm just looking at pictures that are getting sent to me, so I'm trying to send them back to the admin so we can have a wee look. But some people are sending me random pictures. I don't want to see your toenails. And I don't mean your actual toenails. I just mean I don't want to see the bottom of your glass once you finished your coffee. I want to see the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we've had some pictures sent through, which is great. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely great. So yeah, I don't think Paddy's is good. If the admins have it, Paddy's is a good one. If I'm going to pick a winner so far, it's going to be Paddy's. But I'm going to just check some of the other accounts because there's lots of come. Oh, I've got more coming. See, this is you start a prize, but, and all of a sudden, everyone with a dog has a picture of a glass with a coffee in it. Right. Listen,
is there any that stand out?
Yeah, Paddy's wife stands out. Yep. Truth. It's just the truth.
I'm backing off that comment.
Is that the one who's in love with Jarlath, or who's in love with Paul?
No, that's a different lady. No,
oh, right.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Here's he just cracking open balls. He's just going for it.
No, on the back to this 1330, but there's the one thing that I didn't notice, and Graeme myself picked up on it doesn't drink 57.5%. That's 57.5% alcohol in there, or 57%, whatever it is, and it doesn't drink 57%. And I think that's sometimes what the best. Whenever you're trying to pick your cask strength, a cask that works for cask strength, you're looking at a whiskey where the flavours stand up and the structure stands up to the alcohol. That's what makes it good.
I've just found the winner, maybe. Well, that's a good picture. Wait till you see it. We're going to try and get the pictures up so you can see something because it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of crack. There's people really putting an effort into this.
There's somebody off in there, Paul, where to send the picture to?
Anywhere they like. No, just not my phone. You can look. I'll put. You know what? I'll put my number in here, and you can. Actually, hold on. Message me in private, and I'll give you my number. But you can send it to our Facebook account, which is Belfast Whiskey Week. Simple as that. All Instagram and Facebook is at Belfast Whiskey Week. Simple, and it'll come through on those two. But yeah, if you have my mobile number, I'm happy for it to come through my mobile. That's perfectly fine. Not a bar.
Do you know the juiciness?
To be sent through HR. Lee, hi.
Yeah, there was a bottle had gone walkabouts with earlier on today.
That's not the bottle. That's not the bottle that's run walkabouts. No, that's not it.
But somewhere.
Yeah.
So Michael's asking about the competition there. Michael, it's a photograph of the Belfast coffee. So if you've managed to make an attractive Belfast coffee, if you get a photograph of it in, we will send a full 700ml bottle of Belfast coffee to the winner.
Well, this is, it's just too much fun. You've brightened up my night. I was having such a crap day today.
It must be not.
For anyone that was watching, today was the busiest day. So we worked out that today was the busiest day. We've got some pictures coming up on the screen just now. That's great from the admin lads. But today was a very busy day. It was great fun. Do you know what I mean? We had such fun today. Hopefully those pictures come up now. It might be. There's a good. There.
Oh,
Is that good?
What's the logo there?
That's an interesting glass for the Belfast coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's Rick, is it? Is that Rick's one?
No, it was that picture. The first one was Emma and Johnny. Emma and Johnny's picture.
The picture of the four?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like that flight there. That's a nice one. This is like GCN. If anyone cycles.
Yeah.
That's Martin McShane. Martin McShane.
Yeah, it's an empty one. That's good.
Look at his toenails. Look at his toenails. Look.
Oh,
Do you know on the
Robert Flavely. He's going for it.
I recognise that bar. Oh no, I don't recognise the bar.
I think that's Cork, isn't it? I think that might be Cork.
Oh, I recognise that inside of a rum cask lid.
Do you know on the PX on the cask strength releases, we always chase that candied orange note in the PX releases, and it's really there in that release. And I just love finding that note in the whiskey, that candied orange note. It's almost like candied orange pale. That's it was in the PX10, it's in the PX12 standard, and it's been in the cask strength releases. It's funny, it's also in some of the Palo Hurtados, and it is just a note that I love getting in whiskey. And it's a note that I'm left with in the palate, in the finish of that particular PX12 craft strength. After the apple strudels and those more, and the darker fruits disappear.
I actually dropped a couple of wee drops of water in there, and it really lifted the spice out for me. You get that candied always stays, but then the spiciness really kicks in. So, and it was literally 4 drops of water.
Okay, well here, when we move on to, we'll move on and pour we'll score we'll score that one.
Oh, I think it was average, below average.
I'm a wee bit higher.
Are you? You go a wee bit higher. Where's it gone now?
I don't know. It's gone to get another bottle or something.
I tell you what, he must have bottles lying about his house, like.
Very organised tasting tonight.
Doing really well. You're corporate enough. You know what I mean? You're doing really well. All good. For the admin, I sent a couple more pictures. I just want to show there was a picture of a bottle, a single bottle, and also a picture of a couple of bottles. If we can bring them up, then I'm just going to pick a winner. That'll do us. All right, we'll get that out of the road because I don't think I see any more pictures coming to me, which is great.
That looks like a good collection.
Yeah, so that's a lovely collection, isn't it? That's Ricky and Helen's collection.
It's not in my house.
Put an effort in there, didn't they?
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's lovely to see them all together.
And then look at that awful photograph. Look at that. Yeah, that's a good picture there, Charlie.
Tell you what, that looks like a Whiskey Jack photo, isn't it?
It most certainly is. Do you know Ricky Jack's got a bit of a slant because he's always like, I don't know what way to look at it. He's sending me more. Is he sending me more? I don't know. He keeps on telling me, yes, I've already done that. Well, he's sending me more. Oh, right, that's enough. No more pictures after this because I need to conduct this is Jarlath causing an issue here. I will turn this. Oh, hold on. People are really pulling the shots out. It's no longer about the coffee. It's about Dunville's. 2 seconds. We've got loads. People are sending in stuff. Admin guys, if you can have a wee look at this and post them all up, and then that's it. No more. People are taking the proverbial now. I'm like
We've opened the floodgates.
They're open.
Yeah, that red bottle was one of my favourites actually.
That's a good picture.
That's my favourite label right there.
Nah, the black roses are crap. Absolute burnt.
All right, guys, when we pour the penicillin.
Look at that. Stop.
Oh yes. Plenty of nutmeg too.
Oh, here. Yeah, that's
I think a winner. That could easily be a winner, that one. Oh no, there's a band in the background.
There is effort in that one, Paul. There's effort in that one. It's been staged and everything.
There's effort.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Look at that.
Good job.
Too many bottles of the opposite set.
Yep.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to pick the winner there. I actually really like. It's hard. Can you do two, Jarlath? Can you do two?
Yes, we'll do two. Yeah.
I really like Emma's. So Emma and Johnny's. I really like Emma and Johnny's, and I really like Finn's. They were too good. They were too good photographs. Do you know what I mean? So if you want, that's Fanula and Emma and Johnny.
Yeah. Okay, that's sorted. I only have one bottle, but I'll get another one.
I said, can you do two? Yeah.
It's no bother. It's no bother. It might take a day or two.
Right, can we move on then?
Penicillin.
Let's try and move on.
So for anybody that doesn't, so penicillin, relatively new to the cocktail scene. I think about mid-2000s. Came out of a bar in New York called Milk and Honey. Milk and Honey is actually closed down and it's now called Attaboy. And Attaboy is run by a guy, Mickey Paul. Do you know Mickey McElroy from Belfast? Now runs Attaboy in the same premises that Milk and Honey used to be running. So a guy called, I was going to say Tim Roth. It wasn't Tim Roth, obviously, but a guy Sam Roth. Sam Roth invented the penicillin about 15 years ago, so it's a relatively new cocktail. And what he done was he took classic ingredients of maybe a sour, or a misty sour, honey, ginger, and he would use a Scotch blend, and then you put a top of an Islay peanut whiskey, maybe a Letterball 16. So you're talking predominantly Scotch blend, but with a top of Letterball, maybe 10 mils of Letterball 16 or something like that. And that would blend in with your citrus, your honey, your ginger, and a little wee bit in rhubarb. So whenever Dave in Bar 61 got our 3 Crowns Peated, and the 3 Crowns Peated is a blend, but it's a peated blend. And if you think about the construction of penicillin, where you're using traditionally a Scotch blend and then a peated whiskey, that's pretty much what, in a way, that's how our Three Crowns peated is constructed. It's a blend, but it's got a peated element, so it lends itself to a penicillin. So Dave has constructed a penicillin based on our Dunville's Three Crowns peated edition. And it's again, you know, I mean, Dave, I think with cocktails, Dave does very little wrong, you know, and I think he's absolutely nailed this one. If anybody happens to have any candied ginger lying about the house, it works very well with this.
Have you got some?
You know, Dave sent me some up, so yeah. But candied ginger.
You forget to put the candied ginger into the box.
No, he only gave me 6 pieces. I couldn't just put.
To feed the 5,000.
Well, I know. Yeah. It's really nice. I mean, it's really nice. So anyway, that's just the cherry on top of the cream on top of the cocktail, really, you know. But yeah, just go to bar 1661 and, you know, yeah, try them out. So a bit of crushed ice if we'll have it, a bit of ice if we'll have it. I have some somewhere. I would never get a job in a bar.
You mean they wouldn't hire you, or you just would never get a job in the bar?
No, they wouldn't hire me. I mean, no, I'm a disaster.
I don't know that. They're always looks a bit weird, you know, a wee bit quirky. You know, has a funny hairstyle, and
yeah.
Here. Where's my penicillin? Quick, I'm going to get my penicillin. I forgot my penicillin.
Oh, everybody's leaving me now. Oh, here we go.
So, if anybody's loving these cocktails, Belfast coffees, penicillins, aviations, Dave actually does. He bottles them and sends them out to your home, so you can buy, you know, the bar ready cocktail and have it delivered to your home, which is a lot easier than making them up. So yeah, absolutely super. So if anybody's loving this, get on to bar 1661 and get some up. I need one more bottle of Belfast coffee, so if anybody's ordering some, get me one more for the price. Yeah. So I mean, on the nose right away, you're looking at, you know, that that honey and ginger, and that's probably the classic base of a penicillin, you know, and then you're looking for the whiskey and peat to stand up to it, you know, but not overpower it. I think there's a bit of rhubarb in this too, is there, Graeme? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So we touched the rhubarb in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, a touch of rhubarb in this. I don't know if there's enough. I'm not picking it up. Maybe somebody else will. They have the Redbreast 1661 cocktail again. Very, very good. It's in my fridge. In truth, and it's very good, Robert.
Yeah, that's really nice, isn't it? Gee whiz. I love it.
It's just, I mean,
penicillin.
But it's hard to believe it's only 15 years old. That cocktail is only 15 years old, but as you taste it and it just seems like it's been around forever. It just makes so much sense. Do you know how that wasn't developed in the classic age of cocktails? Maybe is beyond me. Do you know? Because that citrus, honey, peated whiskey and ginger is just, I mean, it's perfect. You know, it's just a perfect cocktail in so many ways. You know. It's a stunning drink, you know, and I guess in some ways that's a lighter penicillin in terms of whiskey and peat than maybe some of the penicillins we've had before. But I still think it's very well structured. You know, it's very fresh. You know, that's a real summertime, you know, mid-afternoon cocktail. You know, as well as into the evening. Nick's saying that he is getting the rhubarb.
Yeah, I definitely get the rhubarb.
Try harder.
Yeah. I'll definitely get it in there.
But I'm definitely picking up that Dunville spirit in the background, and just coming right through the centre at the end, and I mean, yeah, Dave just does that so well, he just knows the spirit so well, and obviously the ethos of Bar 1661 is to try and use Irish spirits, and only Irish spirits, so he's taking a classic penicillin cocktail that would have traditionally used Scotch blends and Islay malts, and he's taking an Irish whiskey and putting in a Danbury penicillin using an Irish whiskey, so and that's pretty much the ethos of what Dave's doing down there, so fair play. I just love that the way the honey just comes in about 3 or 4 seconds into the palate, just with a bang of honey, and you're just left with nothing but honey for a couple of seconds, and then the ginger comes in and the citrus comes in, and that's, I mean, it's a journey. That one white feels a journey through the different flavours. They don't all come at once, and that's what I love about that drink. Just the way the flavours just follow each other in, and then just blend perfectly at the end.
I'm just reading the comments are too funny. Mick Maguire's a gag, absolute gag. Do you know what? Before tonight, should I had looked at that ginger.
What do you see Tesco tomorrow? They'll all be gone. Jails will be bare.
Not making candied ginger.
Right now on this going, mate, any candied ginger?
We haven't got to the Masters of Cherries yet.
Oh God!
Wise up.
If you go to Jarlath's house, he can serve you a soup up with all this stuff in it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tip? You know what? We could have got that out to people. We could have done that.
No. Now, maybe the ginger, maybe the cherries, definitely not. Definitely not.
I'm going to say something though, Jarlath. You got take this into consideration, right? So we sent out, what was it? What do we have? 24 physical packs.
28.
Some bills went out. No. Remember, other people got some who they don't have packs. So physical packs went out. 24 physical, actually maybe 26 physical packs, right? Let me just check that. 26 physical packs went out, right? So 26 physical packs went. Inside each pack was a glass, and inside each glass was a little bag with nutmeg in it. I'm just thinking when it went through customs in certain countries.
Oh yeah.
What they thought we were sending.
Ooh. Ooh.
I'm thinking that looks like a little bag of cannabis going through the X-ray machine.
I never thought of that.
But you know what you didn't think about as well? That's why we didn't put in the machinero cherries in the. That's the excuse. That's the excuse we're using. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, listen. It's I don't think we need anything for this. This is on its own. This is good.
I mean, and this is Dave Mulligan and Dave Mulligan's crew behind the bar. Gillian and the rest of them.
Right, Mick, someone banned him for talking.
God knows what Brendan Carney's done to it.
Yes.
God knows what Brendan Carney's done to it.
Brendan Carney's put it in his cask.
Yeah, he has it in the smoke hut out the back. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what? Brendan has been a breath of fresh air this whole. I haven't missed a minute of Brendan the whole festival. He's just yeah. There's not enough lawyers in the world for Brendan Belfast Whisky Festival, but he's enjoyed himself at his tastings. He has enjoyed himself. Do you know?
Do you know what? He messaged me straight after. He messaged me straight after that one, and he's just like heading for fish and chips. We'll try and make it back. And then I phoned him. And I was like, he's like, I'm standing outside the chippy and they're about to call my number. They better call my number. He's like, I need to eat. and I'm trying to get back to it. But I don't know if he made it back. He was.
Yeah.
He was in fine fettle. He went through some amount of liquid there, you know.
Yeah.
So he did.
I did
And
see a
it's all-
message from him at the start. A very complimentary message about the three of us at the start.
And it's all craft train
Very
stuff
good.
he's doing too. So
Good. Oh yeah. I saw something. They said something about how handsome we were.
Yeah, along those lines.
I mean, he's clearly not looking at the same screen. He's got, you know, some sort of bad channel up if he's looking at good-looking guys. He's away to see his ma. Good. That's good, Liam. Well, at least Liam Rogan's in. You know, the short one's in. Flying. Well, I mean,
there's something that,
did he have his blazer on? Did he have his blazer on tonight? Right, anyway, back to this.
so anyway, that penicillin, it's just it's honey, lemon, smoked whiskey, ginger, and a bit of rhubarb, and yeah, hats off at Dave. It's just loveliness in a glass.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan, Nick. Here, cocktail scores are different to whiskey scores. Fact.
A Scotsman loving Irish penicillin. There you go.
I know, and I said this to you. What did I say when you were putting this in? I went, I'm a massive fan I'm a massive fan of a glass, chunk of ice, penicillin, and it has to be smoky, really smoky, not light, very farty, smoky, you know, and it has to be a really good blend. And actually, this works really well. And I am a cocktail guy, so I mean, this works really well. And I don't have my. It works.
And it's not the smokiest penicillin you'll have, but Brendan's managed to balance that very well. You know,
Yes,
he's managed to balance the whole thing so well by dialing everything else back a bit, you know, and making the balance there. And I suppose that's what good cocktail guys do. And that's why they're good cocktail guys and we're not, you know, so yeah, fair play. Anyway, a pink violet, which sort of doesn't make sense. A pink aviation, which doesn't make sense because normally aviation has blue violet in it, and Dave gets his violet from somewhere in Switzerland and it's pink. Hence the fact that this aviation is pink and not a sky blue.
We're doing that
but
next.
obviously it's all about.
We're doing that before the single cast, sorry.
Yeah, I think we'll.
Yeah.
I think we'll do the penicillin or sorry, the aviation now. And then we'll just move on to the 4 single crafts.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're going to use it's a lovely palate cleanser to get any of that pit ready or system before we move on to the single craft.
Like,
So-
I wanted to keep them cold, you know. I wanted to keep them cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with an aviation, you're back to a far more classic cocktail. Violet liqueur. You're looking for a floral gin, and then a sherry liqueur, and that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much it. Is it? Is there anything else in there, Graeme?
You put me on the spot because I have no idea.
Do you know what we're missing?
What did you ask?
Yeah, the violet
What?
and the 2 gins are the main ingredients there. I think we haven't mentioned the 2 gins, which are the Echlinville and.
Oh yeah. So with obviously.
Sorry, Paul, you were
with
asking
the-
something there too.
No, I was just saying
Yeah,
I'm
so
missing
Dave for this-
the cherries.
Well, they really wouldn't have travelled. They really wouldn't have travelled. Trust me. I think I put them in, but the customs guys took them out. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
That's it. We're on number 8. Yeah, you're quite right. Number 8.
Number 8.
In the glass.
Yes, we're on number 8 in the aviation. Made with both Echlinville gin, and Weaver's gin. Dave initially tasted our Echlinville gin and thought that would be a great aviation, but it was nearly. He thought maybe it was going to be too floral in the end, so we brought in some Weaver's gin. Weaver's is our other gin that will be released very soon, and it's a London dry. It's a classic London dry gin. So what it does is that brings the florality of the Echlinville gin back a bit to balance against that floral violet liqueur as well, you know. And and that's why he's using both gins in there. He wants that florality from the Echlinville gin and that structure, but he also wants that dryness and juniper from the weavers. So yeah, he's using both gins in there, which is nice. I'm not a gin drinker at all, but I really do appreciate this cocktail.
Jelly. Mike wants to know if he can add jelly. Why not?
Yeah, go on.
You know, it's like see if you
So for anybody that doesn't know,
see if you take some of your Skittles. You know, take the green ones out, and maybe leave the red and the yellow in, and maybe a little bit of the orange, and squeeze them all down, and that's great.
That's a Van Halen thing.
Yeah, there is a sweetie that tastes just like the nose on this. I can't put my finger on it, but it's all violet, the nose, and then once you actually taste it, then you get the
violet
influence.
Yeah, and obviously, for anybody that doesn't know our gins, our Echlinville gin, which is limited to about 10,000 bottles a year, but if we use the whiskey stills for that, it's that gin is made from 100% single malt spirit that we distill to 96.7%. So we're making vodka from 100% malt barley spirit. So it's the same mash bill, same fermentation as our single malt whiskey. We're just distilling it through the two large rectifying fodder columns that are in the centre of our still house. Taking that to 96.7-ish, Graeme, is that right? Yeah. So
96 plus.
But you're still leaving that. It's a neutral spirit vodka, but it still has that single malt moist character and the mouthfeel and those slight malty tones. So whiskey drinkers tend to like the Echlinville vodka. I mean, we took about 52 goes before we got it right with as far as the recipe and technique goes on our wee R&D pilot still. And for that, we got a 3-star Great Taste Award winning gin. I think that year there was 25,000 entries. 110 of those got 3 stars, of which 2 were gins, of which 1 was Echlinville. You know, so that was just the ultimate reward for Graeme slaughtering away for a year or maybe to try and get that recipe perfect.
It's when we go into Shane with the samples, you know, the taste, and he just says, "Is that the best you can do?" To get it out of the room again.
It's 99.8%, but so yeah. So the Echlinville gin tends to be very different from most gins out there, and that I think maybe that's why Dave's brought it back a bit with the weavers. So yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what's down.
I let you take this one, Graeme, Bruce.
Sorry, Jarlath, go ahead.
Yeah, I let you take this one from here. You're the gin connoisseur.
Well, I mean, you've said it. It's quite interesting to take the two gins and balance the different characteristics of them. I guess there's probably a whole other tasting some night where we actually take the gins and deconstruct some of the cocktails and then put them back together again, because if we tasted the Echlinville gin, you would definitely have the lavender coming through. You would definitely have a little bit of anise there, but you also have that barley sweetness, especially on the nose on Echlinville, and that mouthfeel that you can only get from a batch distilled spirit. It's all there. So it's almost, I can nearly pick it up. You know, even the mouthfeel is of the cocktail. I'm kind of searching for the Echlinville mouthfeel in there. I kind of pick it up, but I think you need to taste it separately alongside. And then when you take the Weaver's gin, which is a lot cleaner, a lot more of a classic flavour profile, but actually uses in the botanicals ingredients, we actually use a lot more variation of floral ingredients in there, but somehow it comes out as a more classic flavor profile. I don't know how that works either, but it just works that way. And
Wayne Sloan's just said the Parma Violet sweets, and that's exactly what it is.
Love hearts, actually. I think he said liquid love hearts, which is.
Yeah. Somebody else is asking what ABV, what strength these are. I know the Belfast coffee drinks at 18%. I'm guessing most of these cocktails are within the 18 to 28%, 18 to
Probably in
25%
around that.
mark. I guess they're in low 20s as they're served.
Yeah. So yeah, it's again, it's lovely. I think it's good to have a something maybe a little bit different from whiskey in the middle of the tasting.
You know, I mean, it's something that we wanted to showcase our gins, but we knew this. You know, we wanted to showcase them in a cocktail fashion, and also the Bon Pot chain. You know, I would normally take Bon Pot chain to tasting and taste Bon Pot chain straight, but the Belfast coffee is the perfect vessel to demonstrate just what Bon Pot chain can do. Hence, we're doing that, and we thought that today that we would, you know, rather than taste the 3 Crowns peanut straight, which we normally do on the gins, that we would put them in cocktail format and just do something different.
I remember.
That was
I think the second or third time I was in Dave's bar, 1661, there was the table beside us had come in, and we got chatting to them, and they were there to taste a whole range of stuff that night because they'd come to 1661 for that reason, for all the different cocktails. And the whole time I was there, they just kept ordering Belfast coffees. It's just like,
do you know they are?
More of that,
but they are so,
another one.
But they are so addictive. The guys in the whiskey club think it's a nutmeg, but they just are so addictive. But here, when we move on then to the main event, from here on in, it's
I thought we'd finished.
No, from here on in, it's craft strength, single cask loveliness. Yeah, this is what I'm here for. So, going back to the whiskies, we're on now to get my card. Number 3 in the bottle, which is our Palo Grottado Cask 1211. We released 2 Palo Grottados in April, May, Graeme, maybe a couple of 2.5 months ago.
Yeah, it was released just before that. I think it was just the end of March.
Yeah. Okay. We released one at cask strength 55, 56, and we released one at 48, and we had 3 casks, and we think this might just be possibly as good as any of them, maybe the best of the 3. But we released the 2 together at cask strength and 48 because it better demonstrated that the difference in the 2 whiskies. You know, one at 55, which was again this big bruiser of a whiskey. The one at 48 was a lot more open, had a lot of those lighter notes in the whiskey, and you know, a lot of the guys will pick the 55% cask strength because it is cask strength, and it's a super whiskey. But I adored the 48 for just how open it was and how much it expressed those lighter citrusy notes and lighter fruits rather than you know, those big dark heavier sherry, you know, cherry pie and all those flavors, you know, figs and all that you'll normally get that within that 55%, the Cask 1203. So this one sort of sat in the middle. And the best, Graeme and myself like to go through the cask and put them out at their best ABV, and this one just sat really well at 52%. So we thought we'd hold this one back 2 or 3 months, put it the first 2, see how they done. They done very well, and then we put this one out a few months later. So I think this one's bottled in all, Graeme, isn't it?
No, not quite.
Really?
It's in the schedule now.
It's in the schedule.
Very, very soon.
You know, this will be bottled in the next week or 2, and it's good to go. And really, it probably sits in the middle. Probably sits somewhere in the middle of the first 2 releases. If anybody tasted them. So Palo Grottado is it's quite a rare sherry. You don't actually set out to make a Palo Grottado. You get sherries that are fortified under oxidation and sherries that are fortified in the absence of oxygen under what they call a floor, where the yeast forms. Whenever you're doing your fortification in the barrel and adding more yeast, the yeast can sometimes form a floor, form a barrier, like a crust on top of the liquid in the cask. And what that will do is stop any more oxygen from entering into the fermentation. And if that happens, you get a pheno. But sometimes, for whatever reason, the that fleur, that top layer of the crust on top of the liquid, sometimes that will break. Sometimes it will crack or break or just disintegrate. And it will happen in about maybe 3 to 5% of pheno casks. And if that happens, it's called a polyhurtado, because then the oxygen gets in, and you get something that's altogether more nutty. And it's probably somewhere between a pheno and an oloroso, but it's neither. It has its own individual characteristics, and as I said, it's quite rare, and it wasn't really used in Irish whiskey at all up until there certainly wasn't very many releases of polyhurtados until we brought it out. Polyhurtado pretty much means broken stick. So whenever the guys would be checking the cask, and whenever the fleur developed, they would put a line across the cask and draw a line in the cask to say that it had developed and it was now fermenting in the absence of oxygen. It was now pheno. And if in a future date that broke, they would put a diagonal line through the horizontal line. So polyhurtado basically translates to broken stick. So they're breaking the first floor. The floor is broken, and that's where it comes from. So what happens is that you get this sherry that has had a bit of oxidized fortification and a bit of fortification in the absence of oxygen, and it has its own very unique characters. We brought in these casks 2 or 3 years ago under the advice of our partner who supplies our casks, we've got a great relationship with, and they really know the standard that we're looking for in Echlinville and Dunville. In fairness, they don't offer us 80% of their casks, we just offer us the standard that we're looking for. We've worked that relationship over 10 years now, and it's working very well for us, and sometimes we value their opinion, and we brought in these casks in conjunction with them. Graeme had also done some laying down some new make Echlinville and polyhurtados, and we were really impressed in how that had went in the first 6 months. We thought we'd put some Dunvilles into it, so we put this in at 16 years old. I think we put this in at 16, Graeme, it's now 18.
Yeah, I'm just having a wee giggle to myself because Shane says this is a big boys game. Sometimes you have to have the courage or convictions.
The cojones is what Shane would say.
Yeah. So for us to make a decision to put a 16-year-old single malt into a cask that we had absolutely no experience of prior to putting a couple of casks of new make down, and to taste that new make after a few months, it's not, you can't really tell how it's going to come out in 8, 10, 12 years. No one can predict that, but the flavour characteristics that we picked up in the new make, I remember we're sitting around the table and we're saying, this is amazing, this is like Christmas cake. We've got to put some 16-year-old malt into this. That's whenever you've got to have the courage or convictions and say, okay, let's go and do it, because it wasn't a industry standard thing to do, So I'm so pleased that we did this, because the subtlety of this one, the way that it kind of sneaks in, and you discover it while it's going around your mouth. I just love it, and I think this one, as Jarlath says, is the one for me that illustrates best the integration and the subtlety that can be achieved. So I mean, there's a few more casks of this around, and we're leaving them be. They could be 21-year-old single cask releases when the time's right, possibly.
That's Graeme and my personal stash we're talking about here. Let's just not go there.
Yeah. So what is there? Is there 10 or 14 casks, something like that?
Yeah, I think we had 16 or 18 in total, and that's 3 used now. So there's a lot of left, and I do think it can take more age. I definitely think this can take more age. There's some casks that we know can definitely take more age, and I think you might even recast some of this in a fresh polyhurtados and just give it a double hit, and that would just be that's gone over that could go. But we're not one for. I know a lot of tastings, when guys love to pull flavours out of whiskey, and they love to talk about, and it's great, and we all do it, and we all, figs, and and I just spend the whole night talking about what flavours are pulling out. And I think sometimes you can spend the whole night watching guys pull out flavours and still not know whether it's any use or not, whether it's any good or not, or how it feels in the mouth, or how it makes you feel, or how you enjoy drinking it. Do you know? And I know that Graeme and myself, we have this ethos that drinking whiskey should be a luxurious experience. It should be an experience that you just love doing it for the luxury of doing it. How the whiskey feels in your mouth, how it gets this juices going, how juicy it is, how chewy it is, how lip smacking it is. I buy whiskey and people tell me that it's big and it's juicy and it's lip smacking and it's chewy, and I think that's what we go for. We're not in there to look. I want a whiskey that tastes of apricots or figs or damsons. We're there to get whiskeys that are big and chewy and especially if you're going to pay the money to drink a 12-year-old cask strength or an 18-year-old. It should just the experience of drinking the whiskey should be more than the sum of its parts, more than just the flavour. It's just about how it makes you feel. It's about how it chews and how it makes your saliva and you chew it and lip smack it and what you're left with. And that, and that's what we go for in whiskies, and that's why we love these powder potatoes and every whiskey from here on in this tasting brews. They all exhibit that, and that's
I was worried. I was worried about Jarlath doing this tasting, and you guys knowing nothing and not being able to talk to the audience. I was really worried. And I was like, I mean, don't have to be there to talk and keep things filling. But what's interesting there, Jarlath? You went into that whole thing, about the casks, and half the tastings we've had so far have focused in on cask management. It's focused in on where those casks are coming from specifically. So much information, so much knowledge that people are imparting. A lot of the distillers, the blenders, even the brand ambassadors are imparting knowledge about the way in which things are being done within the distilleries. I knew nothing about the way in which they marked off the casks regarding the sherries. I really got an insight into the wine and whiskey session we had the other day with the guys from the Northern Irish Wine and Spirits Institute. Yeah. Got some of them as well. And look, they've joined us in mostly all of the sessions throughout the week. They've just been chirping in, and I know that we're getting the spelling now. One of our admin guys who had made the spelling mistake, nothing to do with Dunville's, to be frank. But you know what? I like the eagle eye, Peter. He's good. He gives us a lot of information. But I'm so interested about those casks. I'm interested about why you think you have the audacity, Jarlath and Graeme, to do that, to pick those big. We're going to move on to the big rum cask. Why do you think you have the audacity? Why is it that you think you can bring to the table these casks, random casks that most people aren't using, and put your whiskey into, put that liquid into, and call it Dunville? What gives you the right to do that?
But in fairness, Paul, 6 years ago, PX wasn't really used in Ireland, or certainly not for individual finishes. Guys might have been putting it into blends, but nobody. I don't recall very many PX releases in Ireland prior to the Dunville's PX10. And maybe that give us a wee bit of confidence and to do it. I do know that we have a great relationship with our cask supplier, a broker. We have a great relationship with them. They know what we're after. They know the quality of cask we're after. We also know that we have to differentiate Dunvilles. If we want to, we haven't really talked about Dunvilles and the history of Dunvilles and taking on an old brand. And we took on an old brand. We were offered it in 2012. It fell into your laps in a lot of ways. We were aware of it. We were aware of its history. Never thought for a second we'd get it. It suited us because we just started distilling in Echlinville, or we're about to, and we wanted to differentiate spirit and whiskey that was grown, malted, and distilled on our farm distillery. So if it says Echlinville on the bottle, like Echlinville gin or Echlinville whiskey when it comes out, it will be grown by us, all malted by us, all distilled, matured, the whole thing by us from sowing the barley. We went on a motorbike trip about 5 years ago in end of March, early April to Skye Island. Shane didn't go because he had to sow the spring barley. Do you know? I mean, that's where we start our process. But Dunville's is our bonding, finish and maturation side of our. You know, I mean, that's what it is. You know, it's not our liquid, and it was handy to keep it separately. But whenever we took that old brand and that old famous brand, we were aware that the first accusation thrown to us would be you're just taking an old brand and trying to make a few bob off it. Do you know?
Yeah.
And maybe the previous couple of incarnations of Dunville in the 60s and 70s and 80s didn't do the brand justice, put in 3-4 year blended juice and didn't really do it justice, and maybe there was an expectation that we would do the same. I still remember the night that we decided during a big recession in 2011 or 2010 to take on an offer of a grant from Invest NI and Dard to build a distillery. And it was after the 2008 financial collapse, and we were all affected by that, you know, and it was a big thing to decide to build a distillery. We made 2 promises. I mean, and we had to decide that the next day to take the money or not take it. We sat at 7:30 that night in the office in Belfast and said to Shane, we have to do this, but we'll make 2 promises. A, we'll still be here in 10 years' time. And that means not getting ourselves indebted, not getting ourselves levered. If we will distill as much as we can, and if we can't distill, we'll not distill, but we'll still be here in 10 years' time. We will not get exposed to the point that, you know, there's a risk of us not being here. And we have, as Graeme will tell you, we've turned off the stills a lot. We haven't distilled nearly as much as we could, but we're 7, 8 years in, and we're still here. And we're maybe a year and a half away from releasing Echlinville Spirit, and we're doing a decent job with Dunville for the time being. The second promise we made that night was that we would try our damnedest to put Dunville back at the top table of world whiskies. And I've said this 1,000 times, but it's really important. You know, we think of ourselves as the custodians of Dunville's. You know, Dunville's was there before us, it was there after us. All we can do is take it where it was, leave it somewhere better. So whenever you ask what gives us the cojones or the audacity to put this into a Padre Hurtado, A, you know, Shane allows us to, probably encourages us to. B, we feel that weight that we have to, that we owe Dunville's, we owe that old name, that mammoth brand, we owe it, you know, the respect of something like this. It doesn't always work, thankfully for us, most of the time it has, you know. And really, why the hell not? You know, really, you know, that's what we say a lot. Why the hell not? Why not do this? You know, we're not. Yeah, I mean that's the ethos down there. Is, you know, it's do it. You know.
I think that you answered that perfectly, and that's just me playing with you, because I get that. I think it's good to know. I think it's good to know why we're speaking to a distillery who, yes, they haven't released their own liquid yet, but have managed somehow to produce some great whiskies, you know, and people are getting once someone tries a Dunville, and they maybe try 1 or 2 Dunvilles, it's very difficult for them to ignore the whiskey, and it's very, very difficult, particularly in the Irish whiskey category, to ignore it. So that's why I was asking, because actually all these other brands that are there and are producing whiskey before their own, comes to maturation, that you have done it really well. You've done it really well. There's not been a bad one, and whether or not that has an end point or a full stop or whatever, at the moment that's the way it is. And I just think it's big and bold and brassy. I think that's what it is. I like the answer. I genuinely do think, that, I mean, you took a long time to get to the point where you just said, look, Shane says we can do. I just think that what you had to say.
We're trying to keep your attention or keep your suspense.
If this tasting tonight was anything other than what it is just now, people would be bored. This is what this is about. It's about the genuine conversation that this distillery has to have, and can give. And I said to my admins, before I came on tonight, because I knew that the one were running a little bit late because of other tastings earlier in the day. And I said, look, do you mind if we go to 11? Because I think this will be a long tasting. I think this is something we want to just get from both of you, your honest opinions on things. And if I'm quizzing you, if I'm giving you what might be a little bit of jip, it's only because I know you can answer it. I know that these guys want to hear those answers.
Yeah. I mean,
the comments coming through. I just want to pick up on a couple of things. Comments coming through. It's just, what is that? Superb. Just a great Irish whiskey, the Palo Catardo. Yes. Do you know what? I mean, it's hard. You can even top that as a comment. It's just the way it is. Just a great Irish whiskey. Because we all know it's an Irish whiskey. Who cares where it came from? It's an Irish whiskey. It's been released. Someone has been the custodian of releasing it. It's absolutely brilliant. Please come to the States. Tim says, please come to the States. Tim, are you talking about me? Not a problem. Oh, like you're talking about Dunville. Right.
Just put some Dunvilles in your bag.
You're too kind, Tim. You're too kind. We'd have some crack, I tell you that for a fact. Listen, in terms of Dunvilles will be around the world at some point. There's just I will 100%. There's just no doubt that you will. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, in truth, Paul, and we know it, and we're making, as you know, we're making moves on that pretty soon. But I think for the last, we spent 3 years building the distillery. We spent a lot of time getting our liquid ready. We spent a lot of time getting the branding right and moving from the old bottle to the bespoke bottle, and now the cases and what we're labels that we're really proud of. We're getting better at social media. My sister Anne-Marie's on board now. We're still not the best guys at selling whiskey. We know that. We will get better at that. But I guess for us, it is a building block. It's build a distillery, get your liquid right, get your cask management right, and then tell the story and then start selling it. And I think we're at that telling the story, starting to sell it properly staged. You'll see. Hopefully, you'll see some news in that in the next sort of month or two. But yeah, for us, it was important to get those building blocks in place first. Where we have a lovely distillery we're proud of, which is the best that we can have with our budget, and we've got the liquid that we're just super proud of. And cask management that works.
Next one on the list is a biggie.
The next one on the list is the rum finish. Is that right?
You wrote the list.
I wrote the list. It's been a lot. I've done a pre-70s tasting. I've done a Cologne tasting. This has been a long day.
Don't blame your liver. Number 4. It's the rum. It's the Port Moran.
Number 4, the now infamous Port Moran rum release.
Okay, so listen, this one really speaks for itself,
Yeah, and then some. This is probably. It's really it doesn't follow the same DNA as the Palo Hurtados, the PXs, the Olorosos, and what's to follow. It's the same juice from the same double distilled County Live distillery, and these are all single malts, obviously. It's the same juice, and this is. I don't think Graeme and myself have ever been as excited about cask in our life, and might never be again, in truth, than we were about these rum furnace casks when they come in.
Yeah, it was like Christmas Day.
Yeah, Barney Wood, a drinks parlour out of Belfast, had an easy cask of 41-year-old Port Morant Demerara rum. Now, the Port Morant distillery closed down in 1975. They were previously operating with a wooden column still, which blows your mind just without saying anything more. But they closed in 1975, and this was 2016 or 2015, and these were 41-year-old rum casks. So it didn't take long to figure out that this was from the very last year Port Morant distillation. You'd never see this rum again. So we walked into the Echlinville offices and says, "I've £500,000 of 41-year-old rum here. Do you want to buy it?" And our first reaction was, "Well, we know F all about rum." Well, the first reaction was, "We haven't got £500,000, and we know F all about rum, but we'd love to taste it." And we tasted it, and we just looked at each other and we thought, we just got in this part of a 15-year-old single malt, and we just thought, "Oh my Jesus Christ, this is just this is something happened, So we said, "Look, we're going to have to slightly decline your offer of buying £500,000 of rum, but can we have the empty casks?" And those casks had sort of half been promised to a very small distillery in Speyside, Highlands, that'll be famous. Very small distillery that'll be famous for its cask finishes. Very small distillery. And but he sort of said to us, "Look, I want a few casks of your new mate. So, if those casks aren't in my yard in a week, So, yeah, we got the casks, and we filled 8 casks off it, and within 3 months, it was just stunning. We were just getting these flavors of banana, It was a tobacco, wasn't it, Graeme? It was that,
tobacco.
It was like sweet Virginia tobacco leather. It was just, unreal. And then it changed a lot in the cask. In fairness, some guys said we should have put it out at 17. That might, there's a couple of casks, maybe that's right. But we put it out at 18 in the night in the most gorgeous red box with the old. Shane this is Shane's baby, he went overboard, and we kept on adding to it. Anne-Marie and Mark Thompson wrote a damn book to put in the box. We wrote a book. It's
absolutely brilliant. There's not many.
We wrote a book.
There's not many people who, when you go and buy a bottle of whiskey, that they hit you with a book.
No, and we put Dunville's were famous for the mirrors, so Shane wanted a Dunville's mirror in the box because that's what you do. And then we sort of thought, we've got a book, we've got a mirror, there's just not enough in this box.
No,
I know what we'll do. We're going to put some 41-year-old rum in the box. Now, the 41-year-old rum was selling for £2,000 a bottle. So we bought a stupid number of bottles of it, and we decanted it into 40ml minis, and we put 40 mils, Graeme, of the rum into the box onto the book. So that's a nice surprise. You take your book out and you have the actual 41-year-old Demerara rum in the box, so you can drink side by. And we thought that's a wonderful experience because Peter and Alistair done a great presentation. Was it yesterday? And I watched the whole thing, and those guys are just they're geeks of the highest order, and I love them for it. And they were comparing the wine finishes and the port finishes and the sherry finishes to the whiskey, and the sherry and the port and the wine. And we just thought that's what we would do a year and a half ago. We thought, wouldn't it be great to actually drink the whiskey and then taste the spirit from whence it came, as far as the finish goes. We put out a box that we got a bit of flack for. I stand over it now, because the world has moved on, and I think Shane's motivation was that, again, he wanted to make a statement about how good Dunville's could be, both in liquid and presentation and everything. He wanted to make a statement that would get the world's attention with Dunville's, and I think with the red box he certainly did. And I think that people will look back at that release in 5 years' time and maybe give it a lot more credit than they did, than some people did at the time. But and there was a bit of a furlough about it, and my biggest regret was at the time that people were talking more about the box and everything else than they were about the liquid, and the liquid was absolutely stunning. And I know that now people are starting to talk again about the liquid in the box. I see it online quite a lot, when people are buying it from Dick Max or from Bars to 61 or from the Sky on the Ground in their wee, when they're selling the wee 50ml bottles while they're closed down. So a lot more people are getting to taste this, and they're now talking about the liquid again. I love seeing that because the liquid in this bottle is just second to none. there was a 41-year-old rum in that cask for 22 years. It switched casks halfway through its life, and it was just layers upon layers of molasses, demerara, sugar, all farmyard molasses, treacle. There was just layers upon layers, intertwined with tobacco and banana and all these just stunning whiskey. So yeah.
Do you know, I haven't tasted this for probably about 4 months. I've spent the last 4 months tasting sherry cask finishes, and I just can't believe how smooth this is.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Graeme? It's a little bit like confession here. You can say things like that. You can say, "Sorry, Paul. It's been 4 months since I last tasted this whiskey." and when, you know what your penance is? To drink it.
Yeah, I gotta finish it now.
But I was going to say that one of the things I get about this, well, first of all, it's just so deep. It's just so deep, and you kind of have to swim, like through a kind of thick layer of whiskey to.
Yeah, that's a great way to express it, I think.
Isn't it? It's not easy. It's not easy. You're literally,
treacle.
entire mouth, and you're swimming into it. It's absolutely stunning. I really like it. I find those really deep, like thick sugars that are just, again, it's just that really thick sugar that you can have, when you're cooking. You pull it across. It's just, I don't know. It really is. It's a very, very, very well balanced piece for me. I really.
Guys were talking there about adding water to it. Graeme and myself both found it, and we had another Connor up in Serge and we were adding water to this, and we all thought that you add like 1% water and you just lost, or 2% water, and it just lost what it was all about.
No.
But if you go back to the mouthfeel of a whiskey, and I just put so much emphasis on how the whiskey feels in your mouth, how luxurious it is. And I think that there's two things that do that. One is the oils in the whiskey, or whatever comes out of the barrel, but the oils in the whiskey, and the second one is sugar. If you think about it, sugar and sugar syrup are very viscous liquids, very viscous substances, and sugars will add that viscosity and that mouth-lining yumminess to a whiskey in the same way as oils do. And if you're getting so much sugar out of these sherry casks or port casks, or in this case rum casks, that those sugars just jump in there with the oils and just add a lot more viscosity. That the sugars line the side of your mouth and your tongue as much, if not more, than the oils in the whiskey.
Yeah.
And I do a similar thing, but I actually think that they hang about for longer. And they're chewy for longer.
That's what I was trying to say to you. It generally is. I mean, it's thick. It's a thick whiskey. And when you're in there, it's the sugar. It's elasticated sugar. It's that sugar that you can pull apart, and it kind of stays there. And what I mean by that is that it's constantly in your mouth. It's hard. You have to in order for you to get rid of the sweetness, you have to go to something else to get rid of it. I don't think you can't keep on drinking.
Well, it stays there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Tell me this though, Graeme. What's the plans for those casks?
Well, do you know? Actually, there isn't.
You're thinking that.
Yeah, there isn't a plan for the casks at the minute. We're trying to work out what's the best thing to do with the casks. They're still wet. They're still wet on the inside. So
good.
We'll see what happens. But we did make a promise that we wouldn't release another rum finish out of the same cask, because I think you lose a little bit of the special, first time that you use the cask and it's done the finish.
I think that that's fair enough, Graeme. So what we can do, and I was talking, I mean, I think I've imparted as much as my beliefs on as many people as possible in the last couple of days. What we could do.
Oh dear God.
We could put some really nice liquid in there, and then we could have a rum finished blend potentially somewhere.
I thought this was going to be a what do you call it, suggestion?
No. No.
I was looking in fear there, Paul.
Because that would give you an extremely interesting flavour profile with some sort of blend.
Well, it's definitely one idea. I'm not going to commit to anything.
Phil from Causeway Coast has come in there and just stick some Echlinville New into it.
And that is one thing we talked about.
I think that's what will probably happen to them in the long grass. That we'll put some of one of our lighter pot stills in there, and just see how that develops. I think that has got a chance of developing very nicely.
What's that, Belfast? I didn't say that. Who said that?
That's what I was afraid of 2 minutes ago.
That's the wee distillery in Echlinville that's going to open up soon.
Yeah. Where are those barrels sitting right now? That's what I want to know.
But no, I mean, Graeme, that's my first time drinking that rum furnace for a while too, because Graeme myself just spent so much time drinking
other stuff
that's coming up, cask samples and trying to figure out what's coming next and evaluating stuff that we very rarely go back to the portfolio once it's been released, because like in truth, Graeme myself spent the guts of 2 years drinking this rum furnace before it came out.
Well, I think one thing we haven't mentioned yet, Jarlath, is that we were really, really shitting ourselves for about 1.5 years because the finish was so short, and so dry.
Yeah, and we were afraid that it would fall over the edge before the finish came.
Yeah, and all of that. Well, I didn't say all of a sudden, but over the course of that final summer, it just seemed to come together. We would go in and revisit this. Something that these 8 casks that are so important to us, every 12 weeks we're going in and pulling a wee sample, and then we'll sit down and we taste it. And we got to the point where we looked at each other and said, right, that's it. That finish is there.
Because everything else was there. I mean, the nose, the body, the tobacco, everything else was there, but it was just a very dry finish. And but rum finishes can do that. It didn't. What you were saying, Paul, about that laughing for so long outside our mouth wasn't there, and we were afraid that actually the cask would come through and kill the rum before that finish came. So we were really, Graeme and myself were sitting in tenterhooks for sort of 6 or 9 months waiting for this, and literally, the week it came was it was just such a relief. And when it came, it just came in spades. I mean, it was just this, and it wasn't even. I mean, it was more than we could have ever hoped for. That finished, and we've written this now. I mean, whenever this gets half an hour in a glass, it becomes so much better again and just changes completely. So anybody that gets a chance to drink this again, pour it in your glass, hold it in your hand, get some heat into it, and just see how it changes over an hour. Because you will just go through so many different flavours, in the glass. It's a night on its own,
I just wanted to come back. I know I was just giving a great idea about what you could do with the casks regarding some sort of blend. But Phil's point is actually quite interesting because if we are talking about Echlinville whiskey and we're talking about being still having that bold, brash intent going forward, also with your own spirit, then yes, Jarlath, you'll be aware. Some people in the group will be aware, but we have tasted lots of different expressions from across the world, through the Whiskey Club. One thing we have tasted, and we've tasted a fair bit of, and nearly every tasting, or at least every second tasting, we have a bottle of Caden Heads, and I'm very conscious that they manage to source really good liquid around the world, and they manage it well. But one of the series they had was rum casks from lots of different distilleries, and not rum finishes, but rum casks. So, and young spirit as well. So the Milton Duff 9-year-old rum cask, 19-year-old Auchentoshan rum cask, 23-year-old Longmorn rum cask. These spirits, these whiskies were in the rum cask their whole entire life. And actually, we thought with the young Milton Duff it was going to be absolutely terrible. It turns out I think it's within our top, 15 scored whiskies or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you want to go and check the scores, but you can get great finishes or great product from using rum casks, with a young liquid. So maybe Phil's idea is not a bad idea.
But I think Paul, I think Paul also, if you think of rum in the same terms as whiskey, there's rum and then there's rum, and there's very, very light whiskey and very, very heavy whiskey and very, very light rum, and there's very, very heavy rum, and then there's Killown's rum, they're over here somewhere, which
We talk
I
about
guess, you can't just compare rum cask to rum cask. These casks that we got, we knew when we tasted the rum that we had something, that wasn't. They just weren't normal rum casks. These weren't just exceptional. You'll never get them again. Port Moran closed in '75. You'll just never. And the idea that it was 41-year-old rum. From a closed distillery, this was, I think that was, this is rum on, and then some, for us, as far as Niche Crass went. Yeah, Phil could be right, otherworldly. So I think you have to, anybody, have you tried the rum, Paul? Because I got something on the house I can get down to, or anybody, or I'll bring to the club sometime.
Have I tried the rum that was in the pack?
Yeah.
No,
sorry, the rum that was in these casks before.
No, but you do know that I have tried the Port Moran. I have tried the Port Moran rums expressions. I think it's a 21-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
So I have tasted them, and in fact I've had them lying around in the house. The 15, 17, 21, which had been around for a little while. But no, I hadn't tasted that. And look, that rum, the rum distillery that liquid's great anyway. It's just deep rum, deep.
And one of the things that Port Moran would have actually taken the heads off the barrels and lined the barrel with molasses before they filled it. So they would have actually lined the inside of the barrel with the heavy treatment molasses and let it dry out, and then put the rum in, put the heads back on, and put the rum back in. So as soon as that liquid went in, it sort of spent the next 3 months dissolving that treacle into it, and just to give it more treacle molasses sugar in there, Yeah. And I do think that 41 years later that comes back out in our whiskey. I grew up on a farm at home in Clarkey, and we used to make our own meal. We used to have a mill, we used to mill our own barley, put it into a meal mixer, put in the nuts, put in whatever else. But the very last thing went in was treacle, and it went in farmer molasses, and it went in, which is probably the same waste product that rum was made from, effectively,
Oh, it is,
so we used to mill our meal, mix the meal with whatever else, and then pour this treacle in through gravity from an overhead feeder. And I remember standing that mixing meal, for 10 years of my life, and just the dust and the flavours and the milled barley and when I first tasted this Port Moran, this whiskey, that's just what it took me back to, because you just had this barley, this lovely clean barley, and I don't think we should forget, that lovely clean malt barley comes through really clear in this whiskey.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For all those layers of sugar and treacle and flavour and everything else, that clean malt barley is shining through in that whiskey, and it just took me back to to the barley milling and the treacle coming in the same house, and just those mixture of flavours. And I still don't taste this whiskey without thinking back to that, to our mill mixing shed on the farm for the 30 years ago plus. I'm showing my age now, but it's amazing how something like this can just take you straight back and have it so vivid, But yeah, that clean barley comes right through, that clean malt comes right through in this whiskey,
Perfect. I know, Graeme, you're picking up on those questions. I can see you answering, which is great. But yeah, a port cask at some point we're fine. But yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we do have. There's a little population of casks in the warehouse, and there might be 2 or 3 of each, and there's all sorts of stuff in there. Now, what I will say is, and I don't want to do any disservice to the wine finish whiskies that are out there, but I don't get I just don't get wine finish whiskies. I don't get it. We haven't done any wine finishes.
I think for us, it's not it's difficult to get those chewy or juicier notes that we're looking for. From, would you agree, Graeme?
The wine, in my experience, the wine finish whiskies that I've tried promise everything on the nose. You know, you start and you say, this has got to be amazing because the nose is so good. And then when you taste it, it kind of all disappears and falls apart. So I think we are yet to experience a really, really strong wine finish whiskey, you know, and we've maybe steered clear of it for that reason. Now, who's to say, maybe in the future, in our travels, we might find a little winemaker somewhere who's making some crazy stuff that we might use, but I think it's really difficult to get that right, you know.
I think we have tried. I mean, I suppose it's maybe a way in which it's been, you know, allowed to mature. But the likes of the Black Queen grape from Omar in Taiwan, that was something. It was something really, really, really special in terms of what it did to the alcohol there, and we can see the relationship when we've tasted the plum liqueur, the lychee liqueur, and then the black wine grape. You know, the wine cask that's been used. You can see, you really can tell. But I think you're quite right. I mean, there's not that many. Phil popped up something there. He talked about the Long Row Red. There's a couple out there which wines have actually done really well, but it's the fortified wines that work, better, isn't it? It's those, or even it's all of the Madeiras and the Marsalas and all these, all these other casks work far better, I think, than straight up Pinot Noir.
Yeah, I think the fortified wines, Paul.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, the fortified wines with that extra sugar content in them really add to that juicy mouthfeel and that experience, that luxury that we're looking for in the older Dunvilles. Now we are working on a new Dunville's product, as you know. It will be a younger expression, and in that younger expression, I think that we can be a lot more irreverent, and we can go on and try a lot more of these more experimental, and but certainly for our aged, just for our 10-year up, I just want to stick to what Dunville's was 100 years ago and what whiskey was 100 years ago. It's those fortified wines, it's those ports, it's those sherries. It's what the barrels and the rum was. Don't forget how much rum was coming into Ireland through Cork. Cork was the first port of entry of the British Empire. From the Caribbean, whenever the ships were coming back, and the ships were laden with rum. And the first port of call was Cork, and there was so much. As well as getting all those port casks from Portugal and sherry casks from Spain, and probably wine casks from France also, obviously. There was a lot of rum casks coming in, so port, fortified wines, rum, sherries was what was a lot of the whiskey was back 100 years ago, and we're trying to sort of stick with those. WKD expression will be next week. Is next week, and certainly with the younger expression. Funny, there's a cask there's a cask actually down there that has a WKD Iron Brew and now has whiskey in it. A wee 2 litre cask that Paul knows about. But yeah, so for the older Dunvilles, we're sticking very much to those fortified wines to get that additional mouthfeel and that luxurious mouthfeel that we're after.
Yeah,
I think
there's anyone who's studied. Sorry to interrupt. Anyone who's studied any of those sort of lean manufacture books and all the rest of it, there's a saying that when the trainee is ready, the teacher will appear. And I think whenever the cask rolls into the distillery one day and we open it and have a sniff, then we'll know that we should put some whiskey into it. So I think it's not for us. I guess there's probably a wee bit of a what's the word? A paradox, because so far you could say we've been bold and brash and we've done lots of innovation, but at the same time we are reserved enough to not go ahead and do the things that we think might not work so well, you know. So we do order in casks that we think might be interesting. We'll have a sniff of them, and there are a few that we say, do you know what? I think we'll just set that one aside and we'll not bother with that for a while.
Well, I mean, I think
We've done that into a garden ornament as well.
Yeah.
but I think in truth, there's spaces for all these things in the market, and the right guys are doing them. But Dunville doesn't have to do everything. You know, Dunville's trying for the time being just concentrate on what it's doing and do it very, very well.
Good point.
We don't have to be doing every cask furnace. If we can just pick 4, 5, 6 and do them very, very well, you know, and then and there's space for everybody. And I think that's probably our ethos of it, you know, in fairness.
Yeah, it's a good point.
The next one on your list is the Oloroso 19-year-old cask 162.
Yeah, I haven't tasted this for a while.
That's something stalled.
I nearly gave that rum furnace a 10, but I didn't. Because I know Paul would take it.
Oh, he scored it?
Yeah.
I gave it a 10.
I didn't give it a 10, I nearly did, because I do love it. Anyhow, yeah, we're now moving up a year to 19-year-olds, and these haven't been released yet, but again, these will be probably cast very soon. And you might see these next two come out before the year end. So, again, we're on the same source liquid. This came into us as a 16-year-old. We put it into a fresh Oloroso craft, and it's been in there for 3.5 years now, nearly. You know, and yeah, this is probably something different from what we've tasted before. In the tasting, you know, Oloroso tends to be drier, a sherry than what we've taken, than certainly the PX, and for that matter the Palo Cortado too. And that Palo Cortado was just so juicy, you know. So it'll be interesting. This should be drier. You know, you would expect an Oloroso cask to be a drier sherry cask. If Peter's on here from the Institute, Peter can tell us certainly how much sugar's in an Oloroso compared to a PX or a Palo Cortado possibly, but I'm guessing, you know, that those sugar contents will be a lot less. So you're going for a different sort of complexity, different sort of character in this whiskey. A bit darker, a bit deeper. But again, you know, going for that. I think what we now hope is a Dunville's DNA, you know, which is, you know, perfectly balanced for the ABV, big juicy flavours, luxurious mouthfeel, just a luxurious whiskey to drink. And like in truth, we're trying to put out whiskeys that will give you a kick in the side of the head, not just get your interest, you know. Certainly with this single cask series, that's what we're trying to do, you know, so.
I think it's worth saying that in the early blend of Three Crowns, this actually was the Oloroso component.
Yeah, we touched on that. We touched on that on the tasting on Monday with Marty McCauley, that we used to be putting in 15-year-old or 16-year-old Oloroso, a small percentage into the Three Crowns blend. We stopped doing that with the most recent batch. What we now do is put in a 12-year-old Graeme, is that right? And then we marry the whole lot and put it back into a fresh Oloroso cask for about 6 or 9 months.
That's right, yeah.
And what you get is a substantially better Three Crowns whiskey, and certainly on the feedback on Monday's tasting, the Three Crowns done very well. But anybody that had tried the Three Crowns original and hadn't tried the Three Crowns now was really impressed. I know Gareth was one of them. Was really impressed with, you know, how the Three Crowns was now compared to. And I think that's like Graeme and myself are never embarrassed to say we're learning on the job, you know, and hopefully we're getting better at this. I think if anybody tastes the Three Crowns from 4 years ago and the Three Crowns from last year, that's very, very evident. You know, that that journey that me and Graeme, Shane, myself, and others have been on. Just the more experience you get, and that shows in the whiskey. And I think that shows very, very clearly in the Three Crowns. But there's not as much of this under us left in the craft as we hoped there was, because we did put some of it into Three Crowns blend a few years ago. So whenever this does come out, it could be sub 200 bottles.
It will definitely be sub 200 bottles, and I've got some reserved for me.
You're making people panic and have to go buy some Three Crowns here. I mean,
yeah, it might be the easiest way of getting this liquid in truth. But again, as soon as you drink it, it's just mouth-watering. It's just even after 4 whiskeys and 3 cocktails, it's just mouth-watering. It just kicks those taste buds into action. And it's just that luxurious experience.
For me, this cask illustrates best out of all of the ones tonight the influence of the wood, because for me the wood comes through at just the right level, and we haven't actually talked about oakiness or wood or anything in any of the previous whiskies tonight. Not that it's not there, but it's not part of the sort of prevalent flavour characteristics that come through. This one for me, I love just that little oak influence both on the nose. Okay, the nose is walnut and Oloroso sherry, but the flavour profile really, really balances the wood beautifully, I think, and the sweetness. I love this one. This is actually one of the casks. It's like one of my buddies.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the oak is there. The oak is there front and centre, and the dryness is there, but it's never too dry on brews. There's those sugars and that juiciness that always manage, right to the very finish, always manage to balance that dryness. So that the oak's there and it's front and centre, but it's never over dominant.
Yeah.
And I do love old whiskies, and I do love tasting wood in whiskey, but you're meant to taste wood in whiskey. People forget that. That's what whiskey is. It's spirit matured in wood, and you should get wood and dryness in whiskey, but you should have those sweetness. Our modern palate chases all those sweet notes, but I mean, whiskey should taste of wood, and this one does.
Yeah.
But it's balanced with those sweeter tones.
I think when we've talked about this, when you kept on saying, should I put this in, should I not put this in, and I was like, nah, it's crap, don't put it in, please put it in the box. Because if you put it in the box, then people might like it, and then I won't have any. It's, those key flavours are there, and actually Phil was picking up some great flavours that we talked about, that those really sweet. He's on about the Coca-Cola, what's he said? Blackberries, yeah. Butter pastries, yes. Cola, yes. It does not let you down. This whiskey does not let you down with flavour. And actually, if you care about it, you'll explore it that much that you'll find so much flavour. It's very intrinsic like that. All these flavours are like leading to somewhere, it's taking us on that little journey, but it's taking us to the very end, which is not the end of the taste with this liquid. It doesn't end abruptly. It slows down, and I think it starts to slowly just creep down to the back of your throat. I actually find it. I find it a joy. It's hard sometimes, Jarlath, when you throw a drink in front of me, and you expect me to drink it. It's hard, right? Because I'm very conservative. The amount of liquid I take on, and you can imagine doing the whiskey festival how much liquid I've had to take on. But when you're drinking it, you take your time in enjoying it, and you kind of find as much as you can about that liquid, because I don't want to drink too much of it. You know what I mean? But massive fan of the overall content of that whiskey, the overall content, and actually, I'm finding myself really drawn to this whiskey specific. But the next one I know is something special. But and I can understand why it was put in this way and that way. But this one here, it's on the money for me in terms of where if there's a sweet spot which you've reached, I don't know if this is the best, but this is a sweet. For me, this has got the right kind of sweetness for me, the right kind of sugar levels, the right kind of those party, the party in your mouth atmosphere. It's going on. There's a festival in your mouth when you're specifically drinking it. No, it's really good. And you know what? You talked about the wood, Graeme. The wood in this is not a bad thing. It's actually really quite good, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the way
I welcome it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the way you can find that. You can find it. You can find the wood without having to search for it. It comes to you. Yeah. Do you know what I like with this one as well? You can push it around your mouth, like push it around, and it's still got that thickness, but not as thick as the rum one. Lovely, dark, dark. And here he says tobacco. There's no doubt. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that pipe in there.
Pipe smoke, yeah.
Pipe. You definitely get that. It's not a. Yeah, you know what? I hate praising people when they're on because it just makes me look good. But,
I think you especially hate praising me, Paul.
Listen, no, it's good. Yeah, it's good. What have we got? What people are really coming to my favourite whiskey to come from Dunville. Who said that? Causeway. Yeah, well, do you know what? It's not. It's very difficult for me to disagree with how good this is. It's going to. I think what's good about this tonight, and I know we're jubilant. We've had a bit of banter, and we've had a bit of crack, and we've gone from some good whiskies through some really nice cocktails, and we're then moving into some parallels, sitting side by side, similar age statements, cask strength, similar age, similar profiling.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite nice to do this because then you can trigger yourself to find the kind of sweet spot that you prefer in Dunville's range. You know what I mean? And you can focus your attention on that because there's a lot of Dunville and it's coming out and people are making an investment into Echlinville, whether or not you see it at your end. But as a consumer, there's a lot of investment being done in it because we're taking the bottles home and we're drinking the bottles, we're sharing the bottles. There's a lot of investment going into the distillery without us being shareholders, without us being part of the furniture. We're investing in the liquid and we're wanting to drink it. So this is nice for the people here who've really cared about the product, who've bought into tonight's session. And those that don't even have the products and they'll go home or they'll go to the shop next time and buy something and try it again. This is nice to see. It's nice to line up next to each other because we could have done a tasting with just the two crowns and one cask strength and be done with it. You know what I mean? And everyone would be like, "Oh, that's the best drink ever. That cask strength was amazing." It's up against the two crowns, and yeah.
And it was.
We're now in a situation where it's like it's a dog fight. What's the best cask strength? What's the best finish? What is it better at 42% or is it better at 55%? People have got those contrasting opinions to have. Anyway, sorry.
I know that Phil put that up on we done a torque drum tasting about 3 months ago, and we put in these two. It was to launch the Potatos, and we put these two in after, and Phil texted me that night or next day and said that Oloroso, I want a bottle in my life, and I did say I'd put a bottle aside for him, but I think Phil and Ivor Dean preferred the Oloroso. Omar and Peter White, all these guys I would have a lot of respect for their critique of whiskey, and would put a lot of emphasis on what they tell me, and the fact that it was a split room. Omar and Peter went for the next one, Phil and Ivor went for the Oloroso. But just nothing but love that night for these products. That was about 3 months ago. So whenever these guys come back and tell you that and ask you for a bottle, put my name down, I want a bottle of this in my life. That's just great, But the next bottle then, Graeme myself had 2 casks of this at that age, and
you scoring there, Jonathan?
I'm scoring again. And I'm not giving anything tens. It's breaking my heart.
Jarlath, how
Yeah,
are
I
you
look
at
at
multitasking?
right, if I see a 10, I'm kicking it out.
No, I know that's why I'm not scoring tens, Paul. That's why I'm not scoring tens. So Graeme and myself were tasting this cask.
Oh, says you may as well. Go ahead there.
And there was 2 or 3 of them, and we thought, it's really good. But do you know what might make this better? Like, let's just throw it in PX for 3 months.
Oh God.
So we took the same liquid as you've just had, that 19-year-old Oloroso, but we had 2 casks of it.
Yeah.
So we're on to sample number 7 now.
Number 7.
And what we have here is the exact same liquid as you've just tasted, the sister cask. And to be fair, there was really no difference. There was very little difference in them. There was a lot more of this one, but if we hadn't been putting this one in 3 Crowns. So we took the exact same liquid, and I think it must have been about January, was it, Graeme? Start of January?
Yeah, it was around that time. It was cold.
Yeah,
cold, that's for sure.
We threw it into a fresh PX cask. Anybody that knows me would know that I'm a massive fan of Glendronachs and Glenglassocks. And I love those older Glendronach single casks, and they work a lot in Oloroso, a lot in PX, a lot in Oloroso PX, maturations, and maybe subconsciously we've been trying to position Dunville's as a sort of Irish Glendronach type setup. I don't know, that's what I drink quite a lot, is Glendronach, so it's probably no surprise, I do think that's where this came from. So we thought that we've had this, it's been 16 years in bourbon, it's 3.5 years, 3 years in Oloroso. Let's work it into PX for 3 months. I think it'll work. Graeme was like, but it's like really good in Oloroso. And I'm like, right, I'll take this from Graeme. I'll be responsible if this doesn't work. So we'll see what you think. So that's where this one came from. That's why we'll have one of each cask. And this one is the exact same whiskey as before, but it's now spent probably 4 to 4 months, probably 4.5, 5 months in PX.
Yeah.
And I think they spent enough in PX, it needs to come out. But
I'd like to add as well that it hasn't been maturing in the warehouse. It's been maturing in the distillation hall.
I noticed.
I'm surprised it's still there.
So in the distillation hall, we get lots of temperature variations. We get lots of heat during the day and coolness at night, and we find that helps to bring things along. So it's only a very few, and we actually would roll it around a bit as well if we're walking past it.
I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, the first PX10 that went to the first World Whiskey Awards, Shane really wanted to win it. So I think he would put the cask in the back of the Land Rover and go out for a 10-mile drive twice a week just to get a lot more movement in the cask, and then put it back in the warehouse, and that was the cask that went in. So, we do take our maturation quite seriously.
You do, and I thought when I saw the sure, that's why those little ones are still somewhere lying about as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually thought it looked quite smart getting into the and at the moment, obviously distilleries are shut down and no one can get in and out. But that cask sitting there, it just looked part of the furniture. It just looked like in there.
I'm special.
Like place. And I kept on walking past, going, "That's 1717. Those buggers are talking about putting that in there. Why is it sitting there?" Like, might go in there. I don't know if it'll go in there. And fair play for fair play, and it does that room can be roasting.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah. I mean, it's a greenhouse with a still. It's a greenhouse with 3 stills in it.
Yeah. So
2 stills and columns.
Clearly, it is interesting that it's been in there. And well done. Fair play. I take it that's allowed.
Yes.
Yes.
That's okay.
Our entire site is pretty much bonded.
That's why I left those casks there. I told you. Did the right thing. Keep in there. They'll be all right. They'll be all right.
So anyway, Graeme said 5 minutes ago that he thought that the the previous whisky demonstrated the most craft influence. I'm not too sure that this one doesn't, whereas the PX influence on this in 4 months is just ridiculous, and how it changes this.
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, if anything demonstrates craft influence, it's comparing the previous Oloroso to this, and the only difference is 4 additional months in PX.
It's like, do you know what it's like? Those things that restart your heart if you go into cardiac arrest. That's
the defibrillator.
That's how I see that cask, because we put in this Oloroso smooth, beautiful symphony, string section type whiskey, and after about 10 weeks, it came out like Napalm Death, Metallica, and what do you call that German band that did all the techno pop all mixed together? The vibrancy of it was crazy. You put the nose became sherry bomb, the cask influence, but the flavour, as soon as you actually get that flavour going on your mouth, it's just so alive. It's really, really vibrant and zingy and all those things. So yeah, well done, Jarlath, for that. Great idea.
Yeah, the Shane's Land Rover is bonded, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's bonded. Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually, I think it belongs to the government, that Land Rover, does it?
Yeah.
It's a HMRC vehicle of choice.
Yes, it's stamped. It has a tax stamp on the side.
Yeah.
You know what? That's interesting the way you described that, Graeme. I mean, okay, is it being given an extra lease of life? It didn't need it. But so the point is, enhancing it is by a little bit of luck, a little bit of fortune. But it does. It's as if the liquid's gone in there, and it's tried to go into the wood, and then doing so, it's poked little holes into the wood.
Yeah, it's
it's done that, and it's actually it's actually made the liquid inside very violent, and I think that it's caused it when you've taken it out, it just needs more. It just needs to escape, and I think that
that's a good way to put it.
So maybe it's the frequency of the liquid, it's the movement. I always tend to think that water, and if we go back to what it is, it's water, and water has memory, and it has distinct. I know here that's a Frozen quote, by the way, in case anyone wanted. But water has memory, and it has this idea of where it needs to be and what it needs to be doing. And I tend to think that sometimes the whiskey, when it's in these barrels, it has an idea of what it wants to do. It's alive. It's not. It's not dead. It's alive and it wants to do things. So maybe it did get that second lease of life. I don't know. I like this. I'm very torn now between. I told you this in the last bit. I was torn between this one and the last one. This one and the last one. Because do you just want it to be eagerly and rounded, or do you want it to have a bit more fight? Because the one previous had fight anyway. It was punching. It's whether or not this one's got claws.
In fairness, Paul, part of me thinks that put this back into Oloroso for a couple of months just to smooth off some of those PX influences and that additional sweetness. But then the other part of me saying no, just leave it as it is so as you have more of a variance between the Oloroso and this one.
Yeah. I'm just laughing. People laughing at me saying that F off, water does not have memory. I'll go toe to toe with any scientist because they know the truth. They know the truth. The truth is out there. That's a fact. Frozen said so. Frozen is factual. Yeah. Fight my corner for me. Listen, you should be really proud of yourselves. I know that, and again, it's harking back to the start of this whole conversation about the staff at Echlinville, what's going on down in Echlinville, because we can talk about Dunville all day. It's a great brand with its great liquid, but behind that is behind the scenes, and it's the Echlinville team. It's the Echlinville distillery, and it's what's coming from Echlinville, which is really important. And I would like at least 5-10 minutes for you to really explore Echlinville and what the future is with this liquid, and what are the possible expressions, and what can people. I know it might be a year away, it might be a year and a half away. Don't be frightened to let people dream, because it's there's a want, I think, within the community, certainly in Belfast and Northern Ireland, there's a want for this to succeed, and I'm hoping that the rest of the whiskey world is looking at distilleries like Echlinville, thinking, look, we need to get great product, we need to see great things, I want you to think on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation that we'll start that conversation next year, I think, and I don't know how long it will take to come to fruition. I've said to you privately, and I said to you before, this year is all about Dunville for us, and next year we'll start that conversation. We're working in cask management, wood management in Echlinville, and distilling away, and starting to think about what those first releases will look like. We are obviously having those conversations and starting to do a bit of cask management around that, and giving ourselves options, and we have preferred options and we have backups, but if we really don't know how that Echlinville spirit will react to different casks, but it is, it's a good year away, and maybe a year and a half. But I don't think that's any harm, and I do think, in fairness,
I think, Jarlath, if that's as honest as if that's as honest as the discussion gets, that's perfectly fine. Look, lads, we're a year and a half away before really we're anywhere near that. That answers some of the questions about, how old the liquid is at the moment. We're at 4.5 years just now.
We're at 7 years for the oldest stuff.
7 years.
In very small volumes.
But then we closed down for a year to build the new distillery house. So we've got like 6 months or a year's worth at 6 and 7, and there's nothing at 5, and there's stuff at 4.5.
Right. So, but what we're saying, and the honest thing is just now, let's concentrate on what we're doing. We're building a great brand. We're using great liquid, and we're making very good whiskies, and we're releasing very good whiskies, which are still within people's price brackets. May I add that you're still you're managing to sell these products, and in a year and a half's time, that we're talking about, the Echlinville, liquid, and that's a very honest thing to say, and that's good, because that'll keep people dreaming. But as long as people know where the lines are, that's very important,
Yeah.
Good.
All this Dunville stuff is just practice anyway,
Oh God.
Yes, and you made some absolutely brilliant at it, because so far all that stuff's crap. We will
get better, but we will get better.
We'll keep
You'll
trying.
get better. There's no doubt you're going to.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's a blast, and I know that I saw Peter on here. I seen him on, and I saw Anne Marie's on here. And listen, absolutely, Charles Anderson, I've missed anything. Just the best tasting so far, is it? Is that right? You know what I mean? Apart from, but listen, great to have so many of your staff on as well. Just in the background, answering some questions, and no, it's been great. Thank you very much.
They're keeping us right.
I've really had fun. I want to know, can I get a heads up just from the admin, just put in the chat here, how long is left before the recording has to stop? We're on a timer, Graeme, it's on a timer, just want to know. Not sure is the answer. Listen,
all right, well, here,
you can keep going. He's on.
Well, a couple of things very quickly. The PX12 crash turns should appear on the website Saturday morning for sale. You're going to see a lot of stuff from Anne Marie and social media with that beforehand. So if you follow Dunville or follow Echlinville, you'll be up to date with that one. I know a lot of the club members missed out on this tasting, and we will do a club tasting in situ in a bar whenever we can do that again, Paul. And we will keep some of all this just back to do a Belfast Whiskey Club tasting with all this. I'd rather do that than put more tickets out for this event. So we will hold some just back for that. for definite. And apart from that, everybody tuning in tonight, thank you very much. We don't take it for granted. We're our boots are not to, the fact that you guys tune in, give us 3 hours of your time and want to taste the whiskey and hear the background. We don't take that for granted. We really appreciate that, and thank you very much. Any questions, keep them coming. We'll stay online here, have a couple more whiskies and see what happens. And Paul, thank you very much for the platform and for the good crack tonight.
Listen, no bar. I've really enjoyed myself. I had some fun. Thank you very much.
The whiskies help, don't they?
Well, the whiskey's been. It's allowed me to be open and honest.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I've really enjoyed tonight. Paul, thanks for giving us the shop window and the airtime. I know we do tend to maybe go on a bit, but we love what we do, and that's just how it is. So till next time.
I want to know how much Anthony and Katie loved Jimmy's Barks. That's what I want to know.
They're on there just now, so they can tell us. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There are chances. What we'll do, we'll put a wee bit of music on. We can.
Rick, thanks very much.
But what do we want? Do we want a DJ, or do we want some music, or do we want some comedy? What do we want?
I can go get the guitar now if you fancy it. No.
Graeme, I nearly had you play into AC/DC, but I changed my mind.
Next time.
I know. I nearly asked you to.
We'll put here. Hopefully, because we've got loads of stuff that we can pick from. So pick something nice, and we'll do that. We'll get some music on. We can just stay within the chat until this thing shuts itself down. Yes, we'll do that.
Phil McGirt wants some Nathan Death.
I could do that. Oh yeah.
Phil plays the guitar. We can get Phil on. He's got guitar on the go as well. Like,
if you want
who want to bring themselves in, go ahead.
If you want some Nathan Death, just try Brendan McCarty's rum, because it's Nathan Death in the glass. It's amazing.
Hold on, what's better, my rum or his rum?
Do you have to?
I haven't tasted them. I haven't tasted either, so I can't comment.
No, it's good. We'll get you some. We'll get you a wee taste of it. We'll get you a wee taste.
I have a lot of stuff for you, Graeme. You'll spend the next 3 months of your life just drinking samples.
Is it another wee box, Jarlath?
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic.
It is. Graeme gets all the Belfast Whiskey Club boxes whenever I drink half of them, and they're going to Graeme, so.
I've got a notebook.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, anybody want to tell us what their favourite whiskey of the night was? Between the 6 whiskies that were tried, anyone want to just shout out quickly what their favourites were?
We'll let you know. We'll see
be interested.
The scorings are there. Yeah, the scorings will be there, won't they?
Hold it up.
Do you know, I haven't looked at them yet, so that'll be an interesting one.
It was crap. It got 1 point.
I think the camera froze there. There was a wee niggle there.
Do you know, it actually did all right. It did okay, so it did.
I'm going back to the Port Morant rum, because I haven't had that for a while and just was so impressed by it. Yeah, so that's what I'm going back to now for my nightcap.
Good stuff. I suppose we have to sign off at some point, or do we just stay on here and?
Yeah, you can stay on. I was just going to have a bit of coffee. We can stay on here until the camera turns on.
Yeah, for sure.
There'll be some guy with a clapperboard.
I've got nothing to do with myself. I'm sure. There's no sleep needed during whiskey week. Hold on.
Paul, just turn all the mics on and just let's see this out in style.
Turn the mics on.
Turn all the mics on and see what people are saying.
That might cause an issue, right? So if we try and turn the mics on, right? Just the mics, not the cameras. Okay? Don't all shout at once, though, because that will cause an issue. Just one at a time, maybe. Let me try it.
This is going to be hell on earth.
Oh,
Hello,
no,
Jamie, you couldn't.
I don't think it's going to let me do it.
No, it might not. What, Jamie there, did we?
No, it's
Oh.
not under because too many people have different modes. It's not
Oh, you
happening.
can't turn everyone on.
Anyone with presenter mode has it. Obviously, Jamie has presenter mode. We can bring it. We can bring his ugly bacon if you want. You can see his ugly mug.
Fair enough, I'll go with Michael.
Oh, these jammies, is he? Bedtime for our little Jamie. You want to bring him in? We'll bring him in.
Phil's going to bring his guitar in, I believe.
No way. Go ahead, then.
There could be an axe off here yet with Graeme and Phil.
I don't have an amp. That's
Yeah.
a problem.
But I hope guys that watching through in that tasting just was, that there's a certain DNA that Graeme and myself try and chase in that whiskey, and it is that tune, it's that luxurious, try and give a whiskey a luxurious experience. And I hope that comes through from start to finish, and it's not. It's a different sort of.
There's that wee whippersnapper coming on.
It's just black. It's just got a black screen.
So I told you, don't want to see his face. And there's Phil. Did it down, did it down.
Hi, Phil.
There's somebody coming in.
Come on, Phil.
No, you'll be glad to know, Graeme, I'm not going to succumb to
This will be a Belfast Whiskey Club tasting in 10 minutes.
to Jamie and bring the guitar in there, you know.
And they do go on about it.
Oh, boo. Boo, Phil, boo.
It just means that me and Graeme will have to do something live at the Echlinville launch.
Sounds good. Sounds
Here,
good.
Phil, you did well earlier on. I had to say, I don't think you heard me when you were heading on, but you did great. Again, stellar job, Phil. Absolutely stellar.
Oh, cheers.
Has anybody any more questions just before we go?
Yeah, when I'm getting my box.
Maybe they're all answered.
Yeah,
What's that,
when
yeah?
I'm getting my box.
You're in a box, Jimmy?
Yeah, that's my question. When am I getting my box?
Oh, yeah, when you're getting your box. Whenever Anthony and Katie finish with it, I'll drop off the empty box.
I've just been sitting with myself. That's what I've been thinking all night to keep myself happy.
Aye, that's just the same as that Echlinville stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's just as good. It's better than the West Cork we mentioned earlier anyway.
Are we better just calling this a night at this point?
Oh, jeez.
Here, hold on, there's Dave Cummins. Bring Dave Cummins in here.
The screen's not big enough for Dave's
Bring
beard.
Dave Cummins in.
Who else can we upgrade?
Bring Dave Cummins in.
I mean, has Dave had a lockdown haircut yet?
I don't
No,
know.
have you
I want
seen
to
it?
see this man.
Dave, come in.
My head goes back.
There's Phil as well.
Dave, you're too funny. If you can bring him in. I want to see Dave. I haven't seen Dave for a while. Oh, do you know what? And he's not doing the Dingle tastings either. You know, so I've really missed Dave. I've really missed Dave this year. I mean, really need to see him. Some
He's
crack.
too busy looking after the cattle.
Who's doing the Dingle tasting on Friday night?
Is Dave not doing it?
No, Dave's not doing it. No.
I'm not going.
Oh, you'll be there on Friday. Happy days, Dave. Happy days.
He'll be there, but it's.
Oh, I am.
You're going to be on, Dave. You're going to be on.
I don't know how to upgrade him.
Are you? Yeah, you're going to be on. That's good crack. That's good fun. I'll deal with that. I'm happy. Nah, good. Oh, do you know what? It's been some crack. You know what I mean? Here, your tasting was good fun there, Jarlath. I really enjoyed that.
Phil, how many of those whiskeys got more than a 5?
Right, well.
Honestly, you know what? Actually, don't. I'm afraid for your answers. Don't even answer them. I'm afraid to know.
Do you want the? Well, I hear.
No,
I'll be honest,
no,
right? So I was after the Boan tasting. I went down and had a wee bite to eat, so I missed about the first hour of this, and I came back and. To be fair, I don't know. I don't think Shane will ever speak to me again after the Port Morant launch because I told him that I thought that he had ruined it and that it was far too pricey.
Did you not tell him what you really think? No.
What was that?
Did you not tell him what you really think?
Exactly.
He tried to say.
Well,
He tried to say root for malt to get discount. It didn't work.
Well, at the end of the day, Jarlath, I mean, I bought the 18-year-old Palo Cotardo cast strength because I just thought that was an absolutely superb whiskey. And the 19-year-old Oloroso, I just think, is one of the best Irish whiskies that has been released over the last 2 or 3 years. I think it is absolutely superb.
Yes, Nick, I'll answer that as well.
Yeah, there's a book.
Possibly, or should I say possibly will be released, I should say.
There's a couple of quick questions in here. I'm just going to answer these because they are coming from the forum. I'll answer Nick and I'll go to Sean. Nick, wider question. So I'll ask this to each of the 4 guys that are on here just now. Just one answer. Don't mess about. Question in here. Outside of Irish whiskey, what bottle do each of you have as a staple in your cabinet, Graeme?
Oh God.
He wasn't listening. Yeah, we'll go with Phil.
I was listening. It's just it's a difficult one to answer because I don't tend to really keep much about me. Let me see. Probably the one in the last 12 months, one of the Glendronach cast strength releases.
Was it 8-year-old cast strength?
I can't remember.
It was one of the older ones, but I put you onto it. So it was one of the it was a 93 22-year-old or 93 23-year-old.
That's it. No, it will take me a full year to get through that bottle. In fact, it took me a full year to get through that bottle. So that would be the most recent one. I guess if you'd said 10, well, you only wanted one answer, so that's it.
Yes. Jarlath, quickly.
Glendronach and Kilchoman.
There you go.
And
Phil.
specifically Kilchoman Madeira. But Glendronach and then Kilchoman Madeira finishes do make me quite excited.
That's 3 answers.
Phil.
Right, well, if you're talking about staples that I always have at hand, Bunnahabhain 12, Deanston 12, and Glendronach 15 Revival.
Now to say that was 3, I had 2.
Yeah,
that was 3.
Well, they're always there. They're a repeat 5.
Yeah.
I don't really have a staple, but Causeway mentioned it. It was him and Whiskey Belfast that got me onto it, the Deanston range. So, there was a cast strength brandy finish 2009 in the vineyard that I picked up. Absolutely exceptional. It was like 45 quid. And it's now, Deanston range is now a staple of mine.
Yeah. I'll just quickly answer. I'm a wee bit posher than these lads. I quite like my 12-year-old Springbank Burgundy sitting there, no bar. I bought that many of them. That's a staple in the house now.
Had it been an Irish staple, Paul, I thought it would have been one of those JJ Corey ones that they're 27 or whatever it was.
Right, and I tell you what, I need to answer Sean's question because Sean was very, he was very patient there, and I said I would come back to him. But Sean said, "What's the plan for next year's festival?" So we're going to announce plans for next year's festival towards the end of the week. We're going to announce stuff on Friday, and then we're going to announce stuff on Saturday evening. We're going to announce the plans for next year. So we already have dates that are planned. We already have functions that are planned for the week for that week. So the stuff that's already been done and dusted. So yeah, we're going to announce those things. What I would say is expect some more of this, but lots more of other stuff.
It'll definitely need to stay online next year.
Oh, and I would also say, by the way, because of the festival so far, and we had a festival release, we've already been guaranteed 3 festival bottles next year. So what I would say is that's pretty interesting, and we're going to take a wee name check on that at the end of the week here. But listen, no, there's loads to come. It definitely is, and here, I don't know. I mean, we're over halfway through. This is like the Glastonbury kind of recap on the midweek. Glastonbury, the second day in the festival. It's kind of like, this has been great crack. We're sitting here in the green room just going, what more can we do? What more can we produce? How much? And all I need to know is that there's a Buckfast experimental cask session. That's going to be huge.
Is it going to be huge, though, Paul? Is it really going to be huge?
I think it's going to be huge.
HMRs, William Novell is going to be knocking at your door from somewhere.
No idea what they're saying. Can't hear anything.
No wonder you and Brendan get on so well.
Who?
You and Brendan.
You've got to distance yourself from Brendan Cartney. I'm in Belfast. He's in Newry. That's the distance that you need between you.
I think he's in bed and we're not.
He fell asleep though with a fish. But fish up in the face.
Oh, I reckon next year we have to do like a football special cast release.
Mate, oh my God, that's been in the chat already, the football cast special. Yes.
Totally. I mean, it has to be quintessentially Irish.
See when we heard, obviously when we're talking the Sleeve League and that's what they were saying, that's it. That needs to happen.
Totally.
Yeah. Cheeky
Football
bit.
special.
Now there's Peter telling me what to do. I hear you, Peter. I absolutely hear you on that. That'd be great. That'd be great fun. No, look, it's been absolute magic. I tell you what, Jarlath, you've had a couple of tastings now. You've been involved in a couple of boxes. You know, you've had the introduction to Irish whiskey. You've also been part of the worldwide exclusive box. You've had your own tasting. Apart from the tastings you've been in and you've been involved in, what tasting have you gone on and enjoyed as a punter? You know, as a festival goer, what's your favourite part?
I mean, the two pre-70s with on were just, you know, as a whiskey nerd, you know, as somebody who enjoys whiskey as much as anybody in this festival, as a punter, you know, we are whiskey nerds. You know, Jamie, Phil, you know, Graeme, we're all, you know, that's why we're in it. And as a whiskey nerd, to taste 30-year-old powers from John's Lane, to taste, you know, some of the old Tullys and even the old Dunvilles and I tasted Dunjourneys before, you know, but all those two pre-70s tastings. But even I love trying to guess where the spirit was from, especially in the whites in the club, and trying to think, you know, trying to. It's almost like a blind tasting, you know, but with Fionn O'Connor, you know, which is just like, you know. So they were great. There was something. I mean, Brendan's Cologne, you know, Brendan can do no wrong, and everybody's talking about, and everybody's talking about Brendan's experimental series, and yeah, it's good, but you know, anybody who's talking about Brendan's experimental series is missing the point. Because Brendan's new make is spectacular, and what Brendan has coming down the line at 3-4 years is going to just blow people's heads, and we all love him for it, you know, and I think that anyone, you know, and that's what Cologne's not about the experimental series. Cologne's about the gist they're laying down, you know, the compliant pot still, the non-compliant pot still, the peated stuff. Yeah, I mean, so that was super. Do you know what? The Connacht tasting Friday night, Paul, as somebody who again loves Irish whiskey and loves where Irish whiskey is going, that was emotional. That was, and David comes across so well.
Yeah.
Do you know, David comes across so well on everything he does. You know, Redbreast and what Joe does, you know, with his portfolio is always going to get the headlines. And whenever you're sitting drinking Redbreast 12, crafts around 15, 21, 27, the friend at hand and friends, you know, is it still the best Irish whiskey I've ever tasted? Well, the Method Man is 28, probably is, but the friend at hand is not 25, is not far away. So that tasting was stunning.
Yeah.
I'm only halfway through. We're only halfway. You know, Jamie's peated. Jamie's Amarone in the worldwide box, you know, and some of those Amarones tasting John's Lane at craft strength, tasting Dingle Pot still 5 at craft strength, and tasting some of the components, you know. I'm missing lots out.
Do you know what?
It's just been amazing.
We've been blessed. We have been blessed with very good liquid, but we've been blessed with very good personalities, very good presenters, very good people with lots of knowledge, people with lots of ability to talk about, you know, things, and it's passing on that knowledge and the information, which has been, to me, has been key to this festival so far. Lots of questions being asked, lots of answers coming forthwith. I think what was interesting. Yeah, I mean, Joe McGowan. I mean, I honestly can't get it out of my head. It is phenomenal. It just is phenomenal. But it was actually such a surprise to see him tasting something that he, you know, it's in his portfolio, but he just hadn't tasted it before.
That was the Middleton. Was that the Middleton? The friend at hand Middleton?
No, he hadn't tasted the. He hadn't tasted that either. He hadn't tasted the John's Lane cast strength. He was just like, you know.
Yeah, but when that came up, I said to you, I was surprised he had never tried it, considering like the amount of tastings that we go to, and Joe's like, you know, opens his jacket and goes, "Here's this you've never tried before." Like, I think Phil, me, and you were down in Enniskillen. He called us down to the back of the room, and he gave us this component, and he didn't really tell us what it was, and we all kind of went. It was just really, really dark, and we were like, "What is this?" And he goes, "You just have to guess." And I can't remember exactly what it was because, well, I was drunk away in Enniskillen's the best way of putting it, but. I just remember blowing me away. All of us were looking at each other going, "What is this?" But when Joe turned around and went, "I haven't tried this," I'm going, "Okay, that's a big moment for us all here."
No,
the intro to Aries needs mentioned because Marty McCauley pulled a marathon there, tasting what 17.
Oh, definitely. What was it, 19 samples?
19.
Fair play to him. I couldn't do that.
But yeah. Oh,
I think like one of the things that
for best one.
One of the bits of feedback I've been getting from a lot of people, Paul, really has just been they've been blown away by the high quality of Irish liquid that has come into this tasting or this whiskey week so far, and I think it's opened a lot of people's eyes to the skill that is in Ireland, whether it's with new make, whether it's with cask management, and whether it's with some of the more established brands that have been going for a long time. So I think people have just been like, this has been such an eye-opening event for them, and they just want more of it. That's the thing now. Then it's like it's lit a bit of a fire amongst people, a bit of an enthusiasm, like what's coming next.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot bigger than last year, and we've learned a lot this year. And obviously, has it been a good thing with being knocked online? Could well be, considering now that people in America are taking part, like people like Barry Chandler. That's going to do us pretty well as well. The exposure we're getting that way. And I think we've all had the conversation that next year, yes, it will be back in a pub where it really needs to be in front of us, having a bit of a laugh. But there's nothing to say that we can't fire a webcam up and bring in X amount of people. Now, and the reason why I say that,
it's no longer webcam. It's no longer webcam. We've got a studio.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Sky TV.
I'm being serious. So I'm thinking, whoever was on the McConnells, whoever was lucky enough to join the McConnells chat on day one. I brought in a couple to do a little bit of comedy and a little bit of music.
Seen that.
Section. And they have a studio. They have a studio set up, and I've been speaking to them for the last couple of months, talking about what they could do for us for the festival. And then I was saying afterwards, I was like, do you know what I need? I need how you set up your studio. I need that set up, and I need it for this festival. So we're looking at how we turn the Duke of York into a stage, into a studio. So we do the tastings in those upstairs in the Duke of York or in a venue like that. And if it's not the Duke of York, we'll be somewhere. But that big professional setup where you're talking to the room, but at the same time, we've got the correct kind of cameras. So you're not looking at me with the picture behind me. You're looking at me in a studio setting and
eating chips.
3 cameras on me. And we're having a bit of crack, and we can do that and replicate it.
The only thing I can say about that, Paul, is please don't put it out at 4K HDR because none of us are good enough for that.
You're quite right.
There was one thing I was just going to say there. I've only taken part in maybe 1 or 2 of the packs where actually tasting the whiskey, but I have been involved in every event where I should be working in work where I'm actually not actually doing anything. But like the pre-1970s, I didn't have the liquid in front of me. But to sit and listen to what Fanon had to say was, as much as the packs aren't in front of me, and there's a lot of people that maybe don't have it, there's so much you can still take away from this. It is a learning exercise at the same time. And the liquid, it's an added bonus.
Yeah. I'm a sort of W.B. Yeats fanatic, and I always wondered what it would be like to sit in the room with W.B. Yeats, and now that I know Fanon, I sort of half know what it would be like, But I'll go back to what something that Phil said sort of 5 minutes ago, and I've always said this, and I've had sort of 5 years experience with it. My favourite half hour in Irish whiskey every year. My favourite half hour in Irish whiskey every year is from 11:30 to 12 o'clock on the Saturday of Whiskey Live in Dublin. Because we're all set up, we'll do a group photo, and we'll take half an hour to go around the room and talk to each other before the punters come in. And what you do is you see the people in Irish whiskey, and you meet the people in Irish whiskey. And be that Dave from, some of the stalwarts from Dave and all these guys, and and the new guys, like Dahi and and whatever, I'm mentioning too, and Jamie, and and the people in Irish whiskey is what we'll take it worldwide, and that's for the last 5 years. That's been my favourite half hour in Irish whiskey every year. Is that half hour between getting set up and the punters coming in, when you go around and you talk to the John Cashman, the Stephen McGinnises, and all these guys, and the John Taylors and whatever else, and Jerry Garland's and all these guys, and the Mick. And I think this year we've taken those guys online, and you seen the passion with Michael from Bowen 3 hours ago, and you see it in Brendan, and you see it in all these tastings, and I think that's what taking this online has helped to show the world what I see every year from 11:30 to 12 o'clock in Whiskey Live Dublin. And yeah, that's what I see from taking this online, is because it's those people that will take, it's the people that will take Irish whiskey worldwide as much as the Gist does,
Jarlath, I can account for that. I'm in my first year of working on this side of the table, and yourself, William down at Copeland, and all the guys, even Michael Washnell, I've been welcomed with open arms, and I can send a message to anybody and I'll have an answer within a couple of minutes. But that half hour you spoke about at Whiskey Live, that was my first Whiskey Live, and I was shitting a brick going, what the hell do I know to tell these people? But the reassurance you had from stallholders around you, that's the thing, and I've been lucky enough to not just actually, I've been lucky enough now to travel some really good places for this job, and brand ambassadors from other distilleries and all will help you out. It's everybody's just fair game.
I think that's one of the things I've noticed about this week as well, is like the camaraderie that there is between like brands. There's not, sometimes you get this idea of a competitive nature, and yet actually it's not really. Like, it's more of like a compatriotism rather than a competitiveness. Like, everyone's like sort of like, if we can help you out, we'll do what we can. I think that's a fantastic thing to see.
We're all there to promote our brands and do our own thing, but at the same time, we're not going to step on each other's feet.
No,
but Phil and Jimmy, that within 2 minutes of meeting somebody, whether they're in it for the right reasons or not. Whether they're passionate about, whether they're in it for, and the guys that are in it for the right reasons will always help each other out. And and there's not very many that are in it for the wrong reasons, and if they are, they don't stay long. And
tell me that, Phil. Sorry, I was going to say just to answer that, Phil, and to put it into another kind of context. At what other event, be it a festival or anything like that, at what other event do you have the same type of relationships being built, anywhere apart from here? I.e., the boxes that we've looked at. So that introduction to Irish whiskey box, think of the branding that was in that. That was everybody and their dog was in there, and they didn't bat an eyelid. The nine or the 8 different brands that were in the World Exclusive box didn't bat an eyelid.
No.
You try doing that. Maybe with the big lads in Scotland, or maybe the Bourbon boys, who are established.
Absolutely.
You try and put Macallan in with a frickin' Glendronach, and they're going to go, hold on.
I even tried to put a Macallan in Island Park, and it comes to Endergan. It's still
you're gonna have an Edrington box. You're gonna have a Pernod Ricard box.
Yes, and I think
box.
Exactly, and I think your point is is emphasised by the fact that actually people were, for this festival to work, people had to make it work. The distilleries had to acknowledge that they cannot control this specific. If they want to be involved, it has to be independent, and it has to be allowed. Everyone should get the same type of space, the same type of opportunities. We've been very fair. We've allowed some of the discussions to go on longer than others. We've always said that there's things that people want to say, you want to keep saying them. We've tried to be as open and as fair as we can. In fact, if something's overlapping, we've put it into a different room so it doesn't disturb what's going on. There's been a lot of give and take in that respect. I think there's definitely a lot of respect within the industry. It's really nice actually to hear certain people talk about each other. That's nice. That's really refreshing, and it's not. And I know that some people might get this idea that there's different parts of the island's whiskey communities are slightly preferred or left out. And I actually don't know if that's the case. What I do think is that people certainly cling to what they know and where they want to be. But actually, the more this festival has gone on, the more that people are chatting away here on the messaging, more people are asking questions, and there's been a lot of referencing points. So Jarlath may reference Blan there. Blan might reference, I don't know, Jemison. Jemison might reference X, or JJ Carr. JJ Carr might reference something. There's a lot of referencing that goes around. You know what I mean? Because there is integral workings, and it's maybe sharing casks or it's sharing liquid. It's maybe doing bottling for someone. So lots of people are doing lots of things for each other. Maybe we've not seen that. Maybe we are seeing that through this festival. Maybe that's actually coming. Maybe the festival's doing that without meaning to do it.
Well, it happens behind the scenes, but people just don't see it. Brendan earlier referenced he needed a bourbon cask within a couple of minutes. He rang Michael Walsh, and within an hour he had a bourbon cask in the back of his car. That's what goes on behind the scenes. And I'll say it again, I picked up the phone to Jarlath and Graeme a couple of times to help us here at Hinch. Because it's a learning curve for us, just opening the doors, and we've popped down and they've given us what information they can provide us with.
I think the other thing as well, Paul, about this festival is like as much as I love things like the Whiskey Live, or you like the Whiskey Social down in Belfast, right? But in a sense, they're a cattle market, and
try being on our side of it, Phil.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. I mean, the thing about it is, you're going in there with a 3.5 hour window to go around 26 different, brands. Like, we're bringing 43 different events.
45 now.
45, sorry. And you can, you can watch this live all day, and it'll go on YouTube. So the bits that you've missed, you can go back and watch again. How often do you ever go to a whiskey event that you can sit down with a head distiller, the head brand ambassador, whoever it is, and sit there for 2 hours and chat about whiskey and get questions that you want to ask and directly pose them to them and get that answered? Doesn't happen.
Very often.
I
thought you were about to say, how often can you go to an event and actually like an Irish whiskey, Phil?
Well, about as often as these type of events happen, then, Jimmy.
No, but I think Phil, that, do you know what? That's the difference. And I think I made it quite clear when we're talking about what Belfast Whiskey Week was. And when I said it's a festival, people were like looking at me going, I don't know what he means. What does he mean? Is that a Dublin Live? No, it's not a Dublin Live, and it's not a Whiskey Social, because they've got their own space. That's exactly what. See what Dunville, see what Echlinville need, and what Hinch need, and what all these distilleries need. They need a Dublin Live. They also need a Whiskey Social. They need them. That's very important, right? Because that's a lot of people in a space going round, and that's mass amount of exposure. What this festival is, it's about choice. It's about, I want to try and taste this. I want to take part in this. I want to experience lots of different things. I want to do it in my own time. I want to do it spread out over the course of days, not in the course of hours. Yeah. And it's like, it's completely different. At Dublin Live and at Whiskey Social, we do not get beautiful music and comedy and a bit and this type of crack. No offense, you'll get crack, but you're not going to get this type of crack. No. Because actually, you're actually going to find, talking to Jarlath, you can't talk to Jarlath at Whiskey Social for 2 hours.
No, absolutely not.
We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that at all. So it is definitely it's a completely different experience. I don't want people to equate the same as what they are, because they're not. And I actually think that I have been asked the question: Can something like that, the Dublin Live, can it be put online? And I don't think it can be, because it's a completely different type of atmosphere, type of marketplace. I don't think it can exist. But what I would say is, that this in this format can be expanded, can be tweaked, can be played with. We want to play with it and tweak it, because that's all we've been doing for the last 3 months, is tweaking it, turning it into what it needs to be. Because actually, when we were going to do the festival, there was only going to be one online event, and now we're at as I say, 45 events are happening through this week. So really, it does, it really can evolve to something really special.
You have to look at it as it's 45 masterclasses that you would get at Dublin Whisky Live, but instead of 45 minutes, you're getting 2-3 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
You pay to go to Whisky Live Dublin, and you pay to top that, and go to a masterclass to be able to ask those questions and have that chat that you can't have at a stall. And I used to go to those and go, oh, I wonder why I can't get talking for that long. Now on that side of the table, I just want to tell you to fuck off after 5 minutes.
Yeah, Phil made a good point there. I mean, Phil's made a good point. The McNamara event was great, and then he caveats that with saying immediately order 2 bottles from it. Says it all.
Can you pronounce the names though?
Absolutely. Well, I was going to ask.
I guarantee you bought an apple blom. Guaranteed. Did you buy an apple blom?
Oh, we'll test your knowledge. Recite the names from that tasting again.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, I know them. Okay, well, I know the ones I put in there specific. I put in the apple blom and I put in the Lebanon. There's also the this Carabin. Spanish Rock, yeah, Grand Pay, yeah. Spanish Rock Americana. Americanesque, or whatever it was. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Really good tasting, actually. I really enjoyed the taste of Swedish whiskey is absolutely brilliant. That McNamara stuff's really good.
Graeme, have you taken part in any? Apart from this one?
I think Graeme's having trouble with his signal here at the minute, so he is, lads. He's putting in the chat here that
the Chinese are listening in. Get him out!
He's either something wrong with his computer, he's just finding a new push bike, race bike he wants to buy on eBay.
Belfast Mac is the code.
I was going to ask, Jarlath, from a brand's point of view, how do you feel about the feedback that you get from something like this?
Yep.
Who's that to?
To you, Jarlath.
I don't
know. Like, if Graeme can hear anything, just the same question. Like, how do you feel about the feedback that you get from tastings like this?
Do you know, I still love tasting in a room. I still love getting down to New York or getting down to Irish Whisky Society or the Dingle one is great. The Court, all those whiskey clubs around the world, around Ireland, Waterford and that, because I love pouring a whiskey. You get the crack and you get the feedback and all, but then you pour whiskey and the room goes silent and you see them looking at each other and you've got them. So there's certain things that you can't get from an online tasting. You can't get that sense of a room going silent and just sheer appreciation of, holy, I wasn't expecting this, and tilting the glass to their mates and saying,
yeah,
right, that's
that's the one.
So and that is just a beautiful feeling because you just know that and especially if you're into enemy territory at Waterford or Cork or something, that happens in Dingle. And Dingle's not enemy territory, by the way, for us, but yeah. But then, there is guys that we know from the club that there's guys that can't go to New York every fortnight, but they're in Enniskillen or Glenarm or Corwin or wherever. Probably you include it, Phil, to an extent.
Totally,
And, Paul will get a lot of plaudits for Belfast Whisky Week and always done this week. What I admire Paul for most, and I'm going to blow his trumpet here for a minute, and I'll bring him back down tomorrow. But what I admire him for most is we have a club, and it's a great wee club. And we couldn't meet in New York anymore. And literally within a week, Paul had us online.
Yeah.
And he kept us all together, but in a way he brought us more together.
Yeah.
Because he brought the guys in that couldn't come to Belfast to New York. So from 3 months of Belfast Whisky Club tastings online, I really appreciate that there's guys that couldn't come to the bar but can do online.
Yeah.
And, as much as Belfast Whisky Week's been a massive success, the last 3 months of online tastings, is what I really admire Paul for, as much as Belfast Whisky Week. But I know how many more people brought in. So I suppose it's that, it's that, and And in fairness, you just don't have time to read all the comments.
Yeah.
I knew a lot from presenting. I mean, I go back in 3 days' time and watch this recording and realise that, I've pissed so many people off because I haven't answered the questions that they asked me because I'm not busy in conversation and just enjoying my whiskey. So I guess, they both have their benefits. There's nothing beats in a room, but for a wider audience, and for bringing in those guys that can't come into your room, that can't come to your every fortnight, this online platform has been amazing, as has doing whiskey tasting online for the last, our club online for the last 3 months, and I know for the first couple of weeks, we were all quite coy online, and for the first half hour, and then we all just open up, and then before you know it, you're still sitting talking at 2 a.m. to 3 or 4 guys that just don't want to go to bed. I'm having a run after tasting. So I mean, for me,
there's pros and cons to it. Don't get me wrong.
For me, they both play their part. That room's amazing, but this is different, and this probably is more what it's going to be.
I'm gonna come back here just a wee second. I'm gonna get up and come back because I just have to make a physical reply to Charles Anderson. He has just said, Phil's back, bring out the Springbank. So just hold on, Charles.
Which Springbank are we going for here? Paul, are you still there?
Yeah.
You're just in the background watching, chilling?
Just, what I thought.
Are you watching football?
I thought you were starting to talk about me. I just thought I'm going to listen to that.
So I think I'll just go for a 12 cast strength then. All right, Charles?
Fair enough. Charles, from a quick question back to yourself then. From a brand's point of view for yous, yous have obviously done like Omar's Talk Dram, a couple of things, but have you done any? From a brand's point of view, what do we think of online tastings like this? So that's the question Causeway asked. But for yourself, Jarlath, from a brand's point of view, obviously you have in person, and then you have now what has become a new normal, shall we say, of online. Dunville, have you done many online apart from the Talk Dram?
Have we? No, we've done 2 or 3 in Canada. We've done 2 or 3 in Canada, but probably not. Again, we're good at making whiskey and shit at marketing and selling it. We're getting better at marketing, but we're still shit at selling it, And we're making moves, and we are making moves to fix that, and that will become clear shortly. I have done 2 or 3 online tastings in Canada in the last month, but if we're in Canada, and that's a market you have to work, and they work quite well. They work better whenever you have liquid in front of the participants. But I think that Dunville is one of those brands that the liquid, it's liquid on lips. Liquid on lips sells the brand. And it doesn't matter what me and Graeme say. Liquid on lips sells the brand, and if we can get liquid on lips and do online tastings, it works very well. If you're going to go on to a webinar and just do a presentation and say, look, here's what Dunville is, and go and buy it at some point, it doesn't work for us. But once we get liquid on lips, it does. Whether that's in a room or online, it works regardless, But
for me, it's kind of it has been a blessing for us, I think, if I'm honest, because last year I'd done about 24, 25 in-person events, between Milan, England, Scotland, a couple of other places. A lot of traveling, a lot of time spent out that you're not sitting in the office doing work. But for us to build Hinch in the past number of months, COVID, where everything's died down, like doing tastings where we've sent liquid out to markets the past 3-4 months, where I can sit in front of the on-trade who are all furloughed or whatever it is and talking through exactly what it is and seeing with their distributors. So it hasn't been a bad time to sit back and go, let's reconvene and see where we go from here for us.
But I know that guys like you, guys like Morris, guys like Matt and Bowen just do so much travel, and pre-COVID, I used to. We used to do 3-4 shows a year, and you guys would just be constantly on the road, and then we're not doing this right. We're not doing this right.
Absolutely loving it at the minute. Didn't really enjoy going to Milan on 24 hours notice, but what can you do? But it has to be done.
I think one of the things like this festival, though, see the fact that we've had people buying boxes from the US. and you've had people buying boxes in Germany, people have been inquiring from France, Scotland, England, maybe people in Scotland. I mean, a lot of people in Scotland and England are probably quite ignorant of Irish whiskey. All they think of is Jameson. So for us to be able to get boxes out to people like that is, I think it's fantastic. And the feedback that I've been getting from people as well is just like, this is just so superb that they actually they feel a part of Whiskey Week.
It's so important for us to get liquid on lips that's not triple distilled and smooth and blah blah blah.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. So.
Question there from Jarlath, if you want to take that. Question there from Charles Anderson. He's going to ask you a question, I believe.
Well, CPO.
Yeah, what's the question? Have I missed the question? What is it?
No,
He's got a question about old Bushmills.
I read that wrong. I thought he said for the old man of Irish whiskey. I was going to say that's harsh.
You seem to be the point man.
It's a great haircut.
Boys, while he's typing the question, there it is there. I'll come back to it. I want to ask about the bikes.
Phil, this might be a question more for you than me, in fairness. But I are...
Special liqueur?
Yeah, or Paul might know this one, being a Bushmills.
Yeah, I mean, the old liqueur...
Or if Tim's online.
Yeah, I mean, the old liqueur, the single malt only came about in the early 80s. So before that, you were going to have the special old liqueur and Black Bush. But I would say you're going back at 75% proof as well. I mean, I would say you're going back pre-80s there, guys.
He's touching on what Finan touched on yesterday.
Right.
Finan touched on it. I wasn't listening too much, but he was touching that's the period, so you're up until about that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, but 75% proof of a US proof, it's not, that will still be over 40% ABV. And what Phil says is right, single malt wasn't a term that was used in Irish whiskey until late 70s, Phil, wasn't it?
Early 80s, really?
Was it early 80s, really, that Bushmill started using it, Before, pure pot still and all those terms were used for 100 years or more. Even back in the day, whenever original Three Crowns from the late 1800s and early 1900s, and that became a blend probably about the 1890s or 1900s, and certainly for 40 years, Three Crowns was a blend, but it still had pure pot still whiskey on the label. So pot still back then probably meant too much, but single malt was not a term that was used. But there's only 2 or 3 distilleries making single malt in the whole of Ireland,
Absolutely.
So old liqueur was a very well used term. Normally when you say it does mean a blend, in fairness, but I don't know in this term. I don't know enough about it.
Touching on the old stuff, Jarlath, how was the Dunvilles earlier?
The Dunvilles, to me, I like it. It's not going to start. It's a blend to it. It's not going to stand up to that big 30-year-old Powers. To me, the Powers was phenomenal, but we knew it would be. Yeah. The Larks was the surprise for me. It was just gorgeous.
When did you? Is that the first time you tried the Dunvilles, or have you tried it before?
No, I tried Dunvilles a couple of times before. We tried it, Graeme and myself, last year at an event in the distillery. We opened it for the first time. And
I was on the stag there.
I tried it in Cork with Eric Ryan, opened the bottle for the Cork whiskey tasting as well. I think that's the 4th time. I'm getting used to this. I'm getting used to it. It was my 2 bottles that were tasted earlier today, so I have none left. I don't know I don't know how Paul talked me into that one. Anyway, but you know what, Jamie? In fairness,
the great look good.
But in fairness, sometimes whiskey's there to be drunk and not put on the shelf, and sometimes
was it worth opening?
It
was worth opening anyway.
Sure, we all die, and it's not opening. What's the point?
Yeah, that's it, totally.
So I thought, yeah, Paul, So I put my 2 half bottles in, and they were great. And it's part of the story that Finan tells, and it just tells it better than anybody else. But I mean, I like it. It's lovely whiskey. The larts and powers were just superb. But I mean, I get sherry and port, and more port than sherry from the Three Crowns, from the old Three Crowns from that period, but that would make sense because it's pre-World War II, so there's very little bourbon craft coming into Ireland, and if you're down in Cork, you're getting lots of rum, probably not so much, that was more 100 years ago, you're getting lots of rum, maybe not so much in the 20th century, but certainly, we know that we don't have much Dunville's production records. We have a lot more Old Cumber, and we know that it was sort of 2/3 sherry, 1/3 port that they were buying, and no bourbon at that era. So it would make sense, that you would get that port influence.
I suppose at that time, Jarlath, as well, that most of those casks were transport casks, so they were probably
it was whatever came in that week.
Yeah, there would have been a litre or two of probably undisgorged liquid in there.
It's going to be interesting with the boom of Irish whiskey. Like, when did you find those? 2 years ago? Did you come across those?
Yeah, about a couple of years ago we saw them.
I've been sitting pondering the past couple of days while we were on this and talking about Finan. It's going to be interesting with the boom of Irish whiskey. What's going to be dug out that people have forgot about, or people just overlook in the next couple of years, because I think there's going to be more gems that are going to be found. There has to be.
But Jimmy, there's going to be, as Irish whiskey becomes more valuable, there'll be less and less open. That's the bloody problem, and that's why hats off to Paul for opening.
It's a double-edged sword, then, I suppose. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that's also the reason why I'm quite thankful to know the guys at San Francisco Whiskey Club, because they open everything, and so like they sourced a bottle of. It was actually a 1920s distillate from Tullamore Dew when there were dailies on it. And it was a 20-year-old that was actually bottled by Doherty's up in Buncrana, who used to be an old independent bottler and bar. I mean, it is just unbelievable how different a whiskey that is. So thankfully he sent me a sample of it, so I'll have that to review at some point.
I mean, in fairness, Cork Whiskey Club will open everything. Eric Ryan's down there, and Omer and different guys, and they want to taste everything. They will open everything. So there is guys out there that are fighting back against it. Let's put it all in the cabinet, and let's let it appreciate that. There is guys out there that are very much. We have to experience this in our lifetime. We have to experience. We have to taste this. We have to understand what the past was and learn from it.
Absolutely.
And certainly that's the side that I come down on, and I probably put my money where my wife was, earlier today by giving my last 2 bottles of Three Crowns from the 30s in today. But I mean, in fairness, whenever you open them and 5 minutes later, you know it's the right thing, but you see the reaction.
Absolutely.
She's raging, Jarlath. That's the new kitchen going.
But Jimmy, in fairness, that you get far more joy from sharing these whiskies with fellow whiskey heads than you do from sitting looking at them on a shelf.
Absolutely.
And that is the truth.
That is a big thing that goes on. I don't know if people outside this are aware. Actually, there might be. The amount of samples that I hand out to people are handed to me of, I wonder what that bottle's like, and next minute, land in the post, you've got a sample of someone's bottle, something or a new bottle or whatever. It's, there's a lot of people in the world that are selfish in different aspects of life that go, no, it's mine, I'm keeping it, you're not getting any. We're here. It's like, do you want to try some of this? Here you go.
Yeah. But just there's actually an interesting question here from Nick Gascoigne, because it was just whenever I was saying about like Irish whiskey is sort of underappreciated in Scotland and England, and he was like, "What has English whiskey made its way to Ireland?" Short answer, no, because we can't buy any flipping Bimber or.
No, it did at 2 p.m. today. Funny, I've got one of the first Bimber. I've got a bottle of the very first Bimber craft.
Yeah. I've been lucky to speak to the guys at Bimber when I've been doing the whiskey lounges around England. Some good stuff. The Cotswold, getting there, and the lake's pretty decent.
Yeah, well, I mean, to answer your question, Nick, I mean, that's the reason why I bought the introduction to English Whiskey box, because I wanted to see what the crack was. Because hand on heart, other than some Spirit of Yorkshire like new make, I don't know anything about English whiskey. I know some of the guys on malt like Adam and Mark Newton bang on about Bimber and Cotswold and the Lakes and all the rest of it. But I want to try that myself. And
Listen, I'll hold my hands up. Like, I didn't think there was this many, but did anybody want to take a stab at how many whiskey distilleries there are in England?
well, I was going to say
17.
No.
there's at least 10 anyway.
Oh,
Higher.
I would go 19.
what?
It's not far behind Ireland.
Really?
31.
There's 24 operational whiskey distilleries in England.
Wow.
Kyle Burnside, 26, take it by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose the thing about it is, and answering to Nick, I mean, the problem is that we all have a finite amount of resources.
I'm not going to see that. That's not going to work.
We all have a finite amount of resources, and like, as much as I would love to go and be spending English whiskey as well, like
12 o'clock tomorrow noon, Graeme.
yeah.
Listen, the only saving grace about Belfast Whiskey Week being online this year is me and Paul can't go to every event and can't go to Thompson's every night afterwards. And then
Is Thompson's still even open?
I'm too old for Thompson.
it's a restaurant now, Jarlath. It's not a
serve-
shop anymore.
They serve food now, Jarlath. Yeah.
Jarlath, like, I laugh because I get a bit of a slagging and work off Michael Morris. This week last year, I was in this job a month, and I thought, new job, sure, fuck it, I'll just go out every night on the lash with Paul till about 3-4 o'clock in the morning and rock up to work, and Terry and Michael are just going, what is this kid on, you know? But I put the
My
work in.
biggest memory of Whiskey Club last year, or Whiskey Week last year, was getting a phone call from Paul about 5:15 to say, where the fuck are you? And I'm in the garage fixing the motorbike.
The Redbreast event, was it?
That's a
The
good
Redbreast event, a massive event, that we're waiting for you in like 20 minutes ago. I said, no, it's not till 7. No, it's at 5. Missed the whole damn thing. Yeah, I just automatically assumed that they all happened at the same time at 7 o'clock. And
Me and Phil, I can't remember what event it was, Phil, but, you know, we'll be honest, Belfast Whiskey Week last year was basically Belfast Whiskey Club and a few others, but I remember it was me and you, Phil, that we went into the Duke of York and this guy sat down beside us and we got talking to him, a guy called Dan. Daniel Moody, is it? No, I can't remember his name.
Dan Moody.
yeah.
But he just said hello and we were like, oh, what are you from? I'm not from Dublin. Oh, who are you with? Come up with my own. What? How do you know about this? I was seeing it on Twitter. Sorry. So you just jumped on a bus yesterday on a whim to come up for this, and you didn't know anybody. And me and Paul might have taken him out on the town and got him up to
Dan had bought a box for tonight's tasting. I don't know whether it was in or not, but he certainly bought a box for tonight's tasting.
he was on Twitter.
He had to leave a bit earlier, so we did.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who else could we rope in before we get chucked out.
I'm gonna kick on anyway, and
Same.
I can see Graeme there is hanging on to life by the skin of his teeth. He's like,
Graeme's in early tomorrow morning.
yeah.
I'm up early. I'm straight down to talk to Anthony there at Irish Whiskey Auction and see where my box is. If Paul's listening.
So anyway, it's probably at this point, because Paul seems to be deep in conversation here, it's probably not a bad time just to get that.
He's on the phone.
Longer 10 minutes and let off the boys all head off.
Yeah, guys, listen, appreciate your time tonight, being chatting to you, and all the best.
Right,
Yeah.
Jim, it's over to you now on Friday, isn't it?
Listen, right, well, we'll tell you now.
I think
Friday
Stephen
for me,
Is Stephen Friday as well? The Sting
4
on
o'clock
Friday?
today was one of the worst days I've ever had. So we got permission to go live in the distillery on Friday night off the contractors. Got it all set up, and at 4 o'clock today, some digger driver decided to cut the power cable.
Oh, lovely.
The whole of the area is gone. No power. So we're running off a generator in Terry's house.
It would be great if you knew folks who supplied cables.
Oh, I know.
That's our
Graeme, you're as bad as Shane and Jarlath. Me and Aaron popped up to have a quick look at the warehouse. And on the way out, I went, Aaron, we need buttons like that. And Jarlath turned and goes, You wonder if you knew somebody who supplied those.
we can reconnect our cables. If you need some help in the morning, give us a wee shout.
Listen, see this cable, the way this guy went through it. Good luck.
We'll send Shane down and you'll have it fixed in 5 minutes.
Will we have the cask in the back of the Land Rover?
Well,
Yeah,
who's to know? Who's to know?
that's one way of charring your cask, just stick it straight onto a live cable.
Yeah.
Right, guys.
Right,
Right.
I'm on.
Night, folks.
All the best.
Appreciate
Enjoy the company.
Good night.
Yeah, night.
Bye.
Are they away home?
We're on the way home, Paul. We're a bit blittered. Is that a Scottish word, blittered?
Are they away home? Are they away home?
They're on the way home.
Useless.
Phil's frozen, but I'm pretty sure he's gone.
Right. We'll see you soon.
Here, thanks for the hospitality, and really enjoyed it. And good night.
No problem. Cheers, Jarlath.
Night,
Oh,
night.
he's back.
Who is that? I'm away. It's a wrap. Night, night.
That's a wrap. I don't know what Jamie's doing. Get him to go on, beat it. Thanks very much, admins. Thank you. Good night.